All right, everybody, we're up and live here on the Saturday Sports Countdown. We'll get started for TV and radio here in just a little bit. Just communicating with our main man, Russ, in the studio right now. And I think we're all good there. So, yeah, man, we got a lot to talk about, man. Today, we'll get Luke in here, hopefully. I ain't heard from him. I hope he's all right.
Maybe on the road.
Shocking.
You know that.
Imagine that.
I'm proud of our business, Brett, but that business Luke Robinson's holding on to, what is it, a 4-generation
right
business, and every human that comes out of the womb starts working at about 4 years old, and they just try to keep that thing on the road.
That's a unique business too.
It is, man. It's an impressive business. The longer that I get into owning a business, the more impressed I am that any family at all, and you and I can vouch for this, any family that can hold on to something for 70, 80 years through multiple generations and not have it go away. I'm bragging on him right now. I'm bragging on the whole family because it's one of the best businesses, if not the most impressive business in our community. Wouldn't you agree with that?
Oh, I totally agree with it, man. Should be very proud. Man, they've done some unbelievable projects around the world. Some very famous structures and fountains and ironwork. You know, if you go to Washington, D.C., you see their work everywhere. You go to New York, you go to Canada, all over the place. So, yeah, they've done a lot, man. And they're, again, when you're one of the few that continues to do something, you get called upon. So they stay really busy. The problem is making sure they got enough people.
It tells you how hard it is to do.
Oh, man.
If you end up in a business, I think I'm getting into one on this high lift signage install. It's as much as we want because there's nobody else out there doing it.
Well, nobody. Yeah, it's
and I get why they don't want to do it because it's so difficult. I mean, it's difficult dealing with, all the construction time frames that everybody has, and you're most of the time one of the last ones to come onto a project, and you're sitting around waiting on them to finish, and you got to be accessible when it happens, and it's not easy. And behind every wall is a different surface, so putting something up's not the same every time. So it's difficult, but it makes for the chance of having a business that you can grow with if you'll lean into it. I've seen that too.
No doubt about it. Persistence is the key for sure. So
give everybody an update on R&B, Brett. How much time do we have?
We're about to go on right now. Let me hit this button right here.
Okay.
We got 30
seconds.
Talk
some high school sports now. There's a lot going on. Wrestling championships this weekend, or is it the semis this weekend in the duels?
I want to think the semis right now. So I don't really have that on top of my plate here. So, but we can dig it. We can dig
it. When you do get it to your plate, there's
there's
a ton of high school sports.
Oh yeah, we've got so much to talk right now. We could be 4 hours. All right, here we go. Hello, everybody, and welcome into the Sports Blitz Saturday Sports Countdown presented by JR Sports Bar and Grill and Sunshine Heating and Air. Brett, Randy, and hopefully Luke will join us here a little bit later on here on the program, and we're glad that you joined us wherever it is that you're tuning us in for TV, for radio, obviously on our social media platforms, YouTube, Facebook. We appreciate it. You can comment throughout the program. You also can you can't call because we're doing it live stream, but again, the comments that you can throw through YouTube and through Facebook, man, we appreciate those. We always enjoy those. Our program brought to you by JR Sports Bar and Grill and Sunshine Heating and Air. Couldn't do it without them. Longtime partners here on the program. Talked to Kevin this week, and man, this cold weather, it keeps them on the road working, and a lot of things going on with them. And of course, JR Sports Bar and Grill. We're up there every week for the Lake Martin Sports Roundup show. But man, we have way more than we can get to this morning, so we're going to dive right in, and of course, we'll have it open for you and your comments. I'll go ahead and get one thing out of the way since this is a semi-local show here in Alex City. We will be announcing the new head football coach at Benjamin Russell Monday morning. So just kind of stay tuned for that. No, I can't say who it is. No, I can't get into all that today. So, yeah, is that kind of a tease? Yeah, but I've had a lot of people asking me where we are with this, and so we've gotten to the point where we're ready to announce, and the agreement has been done, and I think there's going to be a lot of excitement. I'll just leave it at that. There's just a lot of excitement around here right now with our new school that will be opening at the end of this year, somewhere hopefully around November, December of this year. We'll be getting the keys to a brand new high school here in the state of Alabama, Benjamin Russell High School, and then ready to have students in that building come January of 26 and do a half a year at least for that senior class. So, yeah, a lot of excitement around here. A lot of excitement around high school football, high school sports. I mean, we got basketball going on right now. You got wrestling going on. There's a lot going on. We'll talk about that here later on in the show, Randy. But, man, college basketball right now, if you can't talk basketball as Auburn fans right now, then I don't know what else you can do, because you're number one. You got maybe the biggest game in the country coming in tonight at 7:30 with Tennessee. You got game day on campus. Just so much buzz going on in Alabama. I know they had a hiccup last week against Ole Miss, but they found themselves, and they've scored over 100 points the last two games they've played. And obviously, it's just like everybody thought, Auburn and Alabama the best two teams in this league. Now, Tennessee will try to have something to say about that tonight. And so we'll see how that goes. And there's probably 5-6 teams in this league that could win this league. But I think right now it's Auburn and Alabama clearly ahead of everybody else.
Well, let me take a couple of minutes to just chime in on your comments with the Benjamin Russell coach. One, just a beautiful new facility. If you've seen the new video that was put out through the school system this past week with Jay Reyes, which was very well done, by the way. Jay walking through, giving everybody a glimpse of what's coming. I'll mention one structure that I'm probably more excited about than anything, and that's that track complex.
Yep.
I'm no track and field athlete, but I do know, and the type of athletes that Alexander City and Benjamin Russell produces. And if you ever wanted to lean into a sport, it would be track and field, in my opinion. And that's a very humble opinion, but we've never had a facility that you could sell to anybody. I mean, the times that TC Coley and others have gone up on top of the hill and tried to fix that nightmare of a track and get it in some kind of competitive form so they could practice with, even back to when you and I were in school,
right,
has always been a joke. It really has. I mean, what we expect our kids to go out there and compete with, we've just never given them the chance to be competitive. Now, you've had moments where Malcolm Simmons and Scotty Vines and some others have come through the school system, and I don't care if they were coming through XYZ school over in Timbuktu. It didn't matter who was training those two athletes. They were going to be two of the best athletes in the state of Alabama and two of the best athletes in the country. And that's who they are. And it didn't take some great training to do that. But I do really applaud the system, you being involved with that. So I'm applauding you too, Brett, that there's some vision to move forward and to actually embrace a sport that I think would really help the community overall, not just the sport of track and field, but I think it's going to be a big, big benefit to our football program if you lean into that sport too. And so, Brett, that is a competitional, sectional style track that will have their own set of bleachers. Can you expand on that a little bit? Because we don't see a lot of those around the state, do we?
Yeah, I'm going to tell you the uniqueness of this facility, and it's going to be a destination for track meets here in the state of Alabama, for us to be able to host, regionals and all types of different things. Again, when you have a vision and you have something that, you and I've talked about for years, and then Dr. Reyes coming in saying, there's no telling how many championships we would have won over the years if we'd have had an adequate facility. And so we wanted to make sure with this school, and it just didn't start with this board. This has been a long time going, so I want to give credit to a lot of people that have been involved, but finally getting this thing over the finish line was a huge priority for us. And when you look at it from that standpoint, we wanted to make sure you're always going to, when you're building a house or you're building a school, you're building anything, when you get into the project, you go, man, I wish we'd have done this. There's always going to be little things, but we tried in previous administrations, and everybody that was in the planning process tried to think of every single thing possible, not just for athletics, but academics and every single thing that goes into building a new school, to make sure we covered all the bases. And yeah, there's going to be some things we go, man, I wish that may be a little bit bigger, or we should have done this. But overall, I think in the planning process, we focused on some things that were necessities that we didn't have, and our track program being one of those. And so now, from an economic standpoint, you got to look at it past the benefit of just the school and what this is going to do for this community. When you've been to these track meets more than any of our group, because you have a son you're trying to get involved and he likes to run. And so you were kind of blown away by how many people show up for these meets. And I remember you calling me the first one you went to, and
did Chelsea at that new facility at Chelsea.
Right. And so, like you said, there's not a lot of them. And so when you get one, then everybody will come to your place to have their meet, and you'll have the facilities adequate enough to host championships. It's no different than what Huntsville did with soccer. And the reason they have the soccer championships up there is because they have the best facilities and it's easy to go to. And so, yeah, I'm looking forward to it. And I think we made a commitment to that. We've made a commitment to a lot of things. We made a commitment to our band program and our arts program, with the way the auditorium and the band room and their own practice field. They don't have to share anything with athletics. It's a lighted field, so they can go out there and practice to whenever. And so all they've got to do is walk right outside of their band room, and they're right there at their practice field. And so there's a lot of things that went into this. We tried to look at in previous boards and planning went into this. They tried to look at every aspect of the school. We're going to have an indoor shooting range for our ROTC program, which is unbelievable. There's just so many things. In our new gymnasium, we've got a full competition gym and then an alternate gym. And the alternate gym is going to be big enough to where you can host events in that as well, kind of a carryover. You could actually have two things going on at one time. So we've doubled almost, I don't know if it's triple, but doubled for sure, our capacity of people to be able to come into our gym and watch a basketball game. And when you walk in that gym, and the architecture and the way that roof is, and the two levels of the gym, it's going to be very unique. So man, we're excited. Everybody around here should be excited. I know we had some pushback over the years about why do we need this and why do we need that.
There always is. There's a naysayer in every community. And right, there's somebody that wants to sit back in the past and not move forward in every community. And it's sickening. So Elliott City is no different than anywhere else. I mean, most places have a few that are very, very vocal.
You remember all the Auburn fans? You remember all the Auburn fans wondering why we were spending $90 million on a new basketball arena?
Today's a prime example on why that, and it ended up working out. I think you and I, during the Tony Barbee era, were asking the same question.
Well, yeah.
Bruce Pearl shows up.
True.
But let me close on that. So Monday, head coach will be announced. I think I've said it on here before, but I'll say it one more time. Think the world of Smitty Grider. Thought he did a tremendous job. Had our football program deep into the playoffs a couple of times, and really did a good job. But new superintendent in charge, maybe new vision, and both sides coming together and agreeing to part ways, Brett, and which opens up an opportunity for a new coach to come in, and that new coach coming into some great talent and a brand new facility. So it was an easy sell, and I think once that name gets announced on Monday, that everybody will go, oh my gosh, that was a pretty easy sell, and I'm thrilled with who we're getting. So I applaud all of those. You and I weren't involved in it.
Nope.
So I applaud the ones that were, and it was a very, very select, small group of men that put this thing together. So excited for everybody to hear who it is on Monday.
Yeah, no doubt about it. And we'll continue to talk some more about that and everything going on around the state and the in AHSA, because there's a lot going on, man. We're about a month out from the finals in basketball. Boy, how fast this has gone by. So, but we got to get to our first break here on the program. Everybody stay tuned. We got a couple hours coming your way here on the Saturday Sports Countdown. Yeah. But yeah, that aerial, you need to come like next week. If you come up here, we'll go out to the school. I'll get Mark to, line up where we can.
Yeah. Video was great. Jay was great in it.
Oh yeah, man.
Really good. Really good.
He does a good job. I told Mark, I said, you got to quit wearing that hat, man. Can't wear that Alabama hat no more in these videos. Me and him give each other hate. He made me wear that or tried to get me to wear that daggum Alabama hard hat he's got. I said, I'm not wearing it. Not wearing it. I'd rather just get hit in the head with a piece of steel than not putting that on my head.
All timing on target, though.
It is right now.
That's
Thank God. Now, again, I've learned a lot in this process.
I'm sure.
Can't lay block and certain things when it's below 40 degrees. So, we've had a few here in the last few weeks that, you barely got up, to a level where you could do some work. So that hampers your work time during the day, but they'll make it up because this group out there, man, they don't play around. They're
Tallahassee, our only wrestling program.
Yeah.
Competitive right now.
And they're going to win it.
I don't know. But John's that way, but John's usually pretty honest.
Yeah.
I think he said the drop to 4A hurt him.
Right.
I mean, it made it tougher because is it Weaver?
Yeah, but they've already beat Weaver once this year, like a drum.
Okay, they're gonna win it then.
I think they beat them. I don't want to guess. He sent me a text, and no, he'd probably kill me if I said all this right now. But it's going to take a monumental effort by somebody to knock them off this year. They're that good.
What a coach!
And he is.
What a coach, man!
He has done
everything. My wife was telling me that this week. She's saying it's amazing to watch how many teams just revolve around how good that leader is. And it is
no question, man.
Because did Tallahassee have a wrestling program before John?
If they did, I didn't know anything about it.
If they did, I never talked about it.
Oh, we got 20 seconds. Yeah, neither did I. I mean, so that should tell you.
They're in it every year. It's not.
They are.
They've got this great class of seniors coming through that they're going to ride out. It's now some years they're like this year they're better than most.
Right, they're super good this year. Oh, here we go. 5 seconds. Welcome back, everyone, to the Sports Blitz Saturday Sports Countdown presented by JR Sports Bar and Grill and Sunshine Heat and Air. Talk about a business that's doing great. JR Sports Bar and Grill here in downtown Alex City. Talked to Chris yesterday, or was it the day before? It was yesterday.
You're getting old. You don't even know Friday. What day it is.
Well, no, just so much dadgum crap runs together. I see the sun come up and set. And it's just a big old cycle that just keeps going. So I just have to have somebody tell me what day it is. But yeah, I talked to Chris yesterday, and man, their business is as great as it's ever been, and which is wonderful. We love to hear that. And man, they've been such big supporters of us and partners with us. They believed in us before anybody believed in us. And man, here we are 20 plus years down the road, and we are celebrating this year, by the way. This summer will be our 20th anniversary of Sports Blitz. So John Kennedy and his group over there are excited, and he's been part of it, Randy, as well. Let me say that John Kennedy came into this community and didn't know us, and we didn't know him. And he said, "Look, man, I need some sports guys," and we've had a great partnership ever since, and we've really provided the sports locally here for him. And then this thing grew into statewide, and then on and beyond, and then we've been able to morph other programs out of it. But without JR Sports Bar and Grill, and without John Kennedy and his vision, we wouldn't be here 20 years down the road. But we're excited about 20 years, talking about businesses and things sticking around for a long time. You and I are proud of what we've built here. with our partnership with the Alabama High School Athletic Association and everything that goes with our programming. So we'll be celebrating that this summer, and we'll have some things coming up that we'll be letting everybody know. And so, yeah, we're gonna celebrate because he should at that point.
Yeah, it's been a great run. I think that you bring up 20 years, and what we're trying to talk about more times than not on our podcast every morning is, look, if you're just finding us, we've been around, but in the new day and age of media, there's new ways of finding programming out there that maybe has been just a television and radio side, but there's opportunities with StreamYard and some of these others that we've partnered with to try to get the podcast out there. So thanks to JR, thanks to all of our advertisers. If we didn't have them, we wouldn't make enough money to make it worth our time to come on here. And trust me, I like seeing Brett and I like talking to Brett, but I don't have to be on camera to talk to Brett. If I want to talk to him, I just pick the phone up and talk to him. So it takes advertisers and a business to make this worthwhile to everyone involved. And we can't thank all of you enough. And the beauty of what we've had over this 20-year span is probably 80% of the sponsors that we've had have been with us, if not from day one, within the first couple of years of us going on air. And so hopefully that's a testament to the product that we put out there, but it's also a testament to each of you that you held on and have held on to a business that long, because it is very, very difficult in every day and age, but especially in today's day and age with all the changing parts and all the moving parts from technology to many, many other issues that make it very difficult as a small business to grow out there to hold on. And so many of those that we've dealt with, like Sunshine Heating and Air, have been with us really from day one.
Absolutely. Kevin is a great businessman and great person. And again, so yeah, all of you tuning in may be going, what do they do in the first two segments? Well, we wanted to kind of take some time to show some appreciation for why we're able to do this and keep growing. I mean, again, keep having people contact us and want to add in, and like you said, believe in our product, and they believe it's a good fit for what they do, and they want to partner. I've always said that, Randy. I don't say advertisers. I say partners, because we want them to get something out of what we're giving as well. This is a two-way street. So they're trying to promote their business, and we want to do business with people that do business with us. And I've always made that a practice. Ever since day one. So we appreciate all of you, and had somebody come up yesterday again, and it's always reassuring when you have people walk up to you and they tell you they enjoy watching your program and you don't know who they are. Like I still get that. I know you get that. I had my Auburn Blitz hat on at the Auburn basketball game a couple of weeks ago, and I had somebody, I didn't know who they were at all, and they said, man, we really enjoy watching you guys every morning on the podcast, and we watch your show, and now we found you, and we're telling everybody about it. And so it's really all of you out there that help us grow. It's not just us sitting here on this program. It's all of you that spread the word, and we appreciate it. We know there's all types of channels out there, and we're not the only one doing it, but we just want to be part of your daily routine, at some point in time, whether you watch us in the morning or you catch us at night. I know you get that. I get that. People say, man, I can't watch you live in the morning, but man, I don't miss it. I watch it at lunch, or I watch it at night, and stuff like that. And we even have people we've been told we have people DVR the show so they can watch it when they get home in the evening. So, man, it's humbling to know that you've done something for 20 years. And we're looking forward to the next 20. I mean, I'll be honest with you. You and I love this, and it's what we've enjoyed doing for a long time. We do a lot of other things, but when it comes down to it, you and I enjoy doing this about as much as anything out there. So, man, we got a lot to talk about here. And so we got to dive in now that we've got two segments under our belt. We'll start with Auburn, Randy, because, and I want to make an announcement here. Jason Caldwell will start joining us on Monday mornings with his schedule permitting, but most of the time he's going to make it a priority to try to be with us on Monday mornings for his Monday morning mailbag. I want to encourage people, if you're not a subscriber to 24/7, they're the guys that we've kind of semi-partnered up with, not anything formal, but Jason's a good friend of ours, and we've gotten to know Christian Clemente through him. And I don't know anybody that does it any better. And we've had Brian Matthews on, and we've had all kind of other guys on, and they're nice. They're great, but we're friends with them. And so we've kind of hitched our wagon to them. And And so I'm glad to have Jason joining us on Monday mornings now. He just does a great job.
Well, I'd highly recommend that if Jason can't make it, Christian can, because every time I see a mic in front of Christian, I'm like, put it in front of him more. I mean, they're just so knowledgeable. This is, we do this part time. They do this full time. We don't write articles, and we really don't get that many interviews with recruits out there and really follow it from start to finish. That's what they do for a living. So it is nice to partner with people that can bring a different opinion on things, a different viewpoint on why certain things go down. Because very easy as fans, which that's what Brett and I consider ourselves, just immense fans of the program that want to see the best with Auburn University and everything they do. But sometimes it's easy to throw darts at something when you don't know what's going on the back end. So it's very nice to have somebody come on occasionally to say, no, Randy, no, Brett, that's really not how this is working out. It's not the reason that's happening. And Jason and Christian, as nice as they are, they set us in place from time to time. And so that will be great. Hang in there. Brett and Jason on Monday morning should be a lot of fun.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. Just does a really, really good job on that. So, I wanted to make that announcement. We're going to go ahead and hit our next break here on the program for TV and radio. Of course, we stay up live on YouTube and Facebook. So get your comments in if you want to keep it rolling during the break. Obviously, we'll still be up, but we're going to go ahead and take another break here for TV and radio. Stay tuned. More to come right after this. The road's finally unfrozen down there.
Been unfrozen. Man,
I went on ahead and took a whole week off.
It's kind of like the NCAA, man. If it snows and there's like a snowflake over there in the corner by the drain, buses can't cross that snowflake because by that drain. I think everybody knows where I am. My poor kids have been at work with me all week. They have learned more. My daughter told me yesterday, she said, I know I'm not in school, but I think I'm learning a lot. And I wanted to look at her and say, honey, you've been here so much, half time I don't realize you're over there. And I hope I'm saying the right things in front of you that you would learn something and they would be beneficial to you, because
don't listen to everything.
Not everything that exits the mouth during a day at work, but I was the same way, Brett. I'm sure you were going with your dad and your mom.
Oh yeah, I was, man.
Administration in schools.
I spent all kind of time at those schools, man.
Dude, I probably learned more about business sitting in a chair across my dad's desk, listening to him deal with humans on the phone nonstop than I would in any other engagement I had. That's
on hand, real experience. That's why. Look, the classroom definitely has its place, but like when you're out here learning a trade, you don't really learn a trade in a textbook. You learn a trade by doing it. So when you actually put something in your hand and you actually try it for the first time, or you get to see it live and in person the first time, that's so much more beneficial. That's why you have to have the lab part of classes. Yeah. You learn the theory part, which is important. You got to know why you got to do stuff, but then the real world out here, here's how you do it. And if you can't get it done this way, this is how you do it. So
the real world,
man.
Boy, it'll hit you
hard.
It will hit you
in a lot of places too, by the way. I'll just leave it at that.
Where are you going? You going to Auburn?
Oh yeah. Because
kids already lined up this morning. I saw a picture come across.
Well, they couldn't count.
24 degrees.
Yeah, well, they couldn't count because
did they let them line up at a certain time?
Well, I guess you just don't have you can't stop anybody from walking out there standing around. So whenever somebody wants to get there, they want to get there. So that game doesn't start to 7:30, by the way.
So just are the students staying in their seat all day?
No, because they've got. Well, here's
they got game day.
I'm about to tell you. I'll tell you how it worked last year.
Do the students have to leave the arena?
Yeah, they have to. Yeah, okay. They have to get out. I'll tell you how it works.
What do they do? Walk right out and get back in line?
No, I'll tell you what. When we come on air, I'll tell you. Because Braden went through it last year. He camped for 2 days, and he said he'll never do it again. And that's coming from him, and he loved it, but And he was real close, but they give him something. I'll tell you here when we go on air. Here we go. Welcome back, everyone, to the Sports Blitz Saturday Sports Countdown presented by JR Sports Bar and Grill and Sunshine Heating and Air. Get your comments in. A lot going on. Talking about Auburn basketball to start off here because the number 1 Auburn Tigers welcome in the number 6 ranked Tennessee Volunteers at 7:30. All right, it's been frigid. It's been unbelievable. I'm so sick of this. Can it just please go on back up north where it came from? I don't want it around here anymore. It's not welcome at my house anymore. So it can just get on out of here and get back to where it came from. So, and by the way, number 2, I don't know how anybody, nor why would you want to live up north. Okay. Now, I'm not asking all you up north to come move down here. Y'all are good where you are. Okay. We can come visit when the weather's better, but don't bring that stuff down here. And I don't know why you'd live up there. I mean, I
don't know how you recruit to it. And I hope there's some great athletes in our community and great athletes around the great state of Alabama listening to Brett and myself this morning. But there is no way in hell that you could convince me to go to Ohio State, to Michigan, anywhere up north to play when some really good SEC school down here in the South is offering me a good old-fashioned scholarship to come play football or basketball or baseball or softball or anything for them that would keep me out of this weather. My body wasn't made for it.
All right,
can't compete in this stuff. Don't want to.
I sound like an old man. Here's the deal. I used to not think anything about going and putting and hooking my boat to my truck. I'll never forget it. And I'll tell this on Dave Jennings. And I think I ruined him on this. I think if he had a gun, he would have shot me in the boat. But he wanted to go fishing. He asked me. And so we hooked the boat up and we went to Lake Jordan. And I'll never forget topping the hill right before I got to the boat ramp. It was 19 degrees on the dash of my truck. And I told him, I said, now I'm going to tell you now. I said, the fish are biting really good. I said, so you just need to be prepared because I'm probably going to stay out here all day. And I did. And it was probably one of the best days I've ever had on Jordan. I ain't had many good ones on Jordan. This was probably the best one. And he was in the back of that boat. And I'm telling you, he about an hour and a half in, he quit fishing because, see, it was so cold that when you cast, your rod froze. So you had to dip your rod down in the water to loosen the ice off the – so I was just catching them, man. And he'd catch one, but he was so cold back there, and he just finally quit. And I finally told him, I said, look, man, I know you're miserable. I said, but here's the deal. I told you we were going to stay out here, and these fish are biting, and I'm going to catch them as long as they're biting. I said, if we go 30 minutes without getting a bite, I said, we'll go put it on the trailer. And, man, I know he's back here counting. And about 20-something minutes in, I'd get another bite. I could tell he was back there going. But, I mean, I froze him, slapped. It was cold. Now, again, I don't know why. I guess it was because the fish were biting real well. For the thought of me doing that now is like, what the hell's wrong with you? Like, the thought of me going out there hooking the boat up right now and going fishing just is not enjoyable to me. So as I've gotten older, I've liked going fishing and this kind of stuff a lot less. So
those kids at Auburn, they were lined up this morning. It's 24 degrees outside. Tell me what is going on.
All right, they couldn't camp. We were going somewhere with this, so I'm glad you got me back on track. They couldn't camp this week because the university wouldn't let them. The school's been closed a few days. Plus, it's stupid. You know, you don't want anybody getting hurt, and you don't want anybody getting, to succumb to the weather out there and get frostbite or something like that. So they said, look, just don't do it. We're not going to do it. And so you can't prevent somebody from walking up and standing around. So I guess they went ahead and started lining up this morning. Well, game day's there. So last year what they did is where you were in line, you get a wristband. So you go into game day and you get a wristband, you come back and you line up according to that wristband. So, yeah, you can go and leave and you can go do whatever, and then you come back and you get in line according to where that wristband is. So that's how they keep that in control when they have game day, because they got to get out. They can't stay in Neville Arena all day. So when game day is over, everybody has to clear the building, and so they can go back out there and get in line and do whatever they've got to do. Once they get that wristband, they're good, because when they were camping, you had to have all your stuff picked up and out of there. You couldn't just leave all that stuff out there. So the only way to do that was by a wristband, because if you had to go clean all that stuff up, you would have lost your place in line. So that's the smart way to do it. They handled it well. My son did it last year with the Kentucky game, and he said, obviously, it's an unreal experience to be able to do that as a student. I never thought in a million years we'd be camping out and have a program the way we do in men's basketball. We were talking about that last night at an event I was at, and people were like, you just have to pinch yourself. And, you just got an invite to that big tournament for the next 3 years, in Las Vegas. And we'll talk about that here in just a little bit too. But that just tells you where this program is, man.
It just tells you where college basketball is in this state. And I think you and I have witnessed it over the last 20 some odd years of calling high school sports here in this state, just the growth of basketball as a sport that we talk about. It started in the high school ranks, I would say, and then it has filtered into our college teams, and we're rabid about it now. I mean, Alabama's exceptionally good, top 5 team, go on the road to Kentucky and win, and you're really not surprised about it. Brett called it last Saturday. He said they're going to go over there and they're going to beat them. They lost earlier in the week. Watch them. They're going to go over there. They're going to win. They play good over there. They always do. And my friend, you were dead on. And I think anybody that says that Auburn or Alabama is not a top 5 team in the country just are haters. That's how good both of those teams are. But it's not just those two. Look what's going on at Samford. They ain't lost a game at home since when? It's a crazy number that they've won at home. And then they bring rabid fans out. And then UAB. Andy Kennedy's got that team. They didn't look that good earlier in the year, Brett.
They down, though.
Man, they get in conference play. They're going to win the conference championship again. They are really, really good. So it's up and down. North Alabama's always good. Alabama Huntsville's always good. There's great high school basketball up in the northern part of the state that's feeding those programs. But it's a great time to be a basketball fan, and I know you and I always have been. I'm just glad we got something to embrace.
Yeah, and I think everybody, again, this has kind of been a sleeping giant here in the state of Alabama. And, from time to time, Auburn and Alabama have had good programs, but consistently, it's always been about football, and rightfully so. I mean, it's still king, but I like the attitude of why can't we be good in that too? I think Florida kind of started that trend here in the SEC with Billy Donovan. When Steve Spurrier and Urban Meyer were winning national championships and SEC championships in football, and Billy Donovan said, well, why can't we do that in basketball too? And, the trophy that goes to the college with the best overall athletic program where you're good on your average across the board. I don't know. What's the name of that trophy? The cup?
You're asking the wrong person.
Okay. All right. I can't remember, but, Stanford's always in it. And, Florida started getting in it because, their softball program and their baseball program and their tennis program and then their basketball teams.
Track and field.
So it's basically a culmination of all your athletic programs and how good you are at all of them as an average. And but that to me is when it woke me up, was when Billy Donovan won back-to-back national championships at Florida. I'm like, dadgum, man. We always say, well, you got to concentrate on one sport. I'm like, well, why? They're good in basketball and football. Why can't we be good in basketball and football? So I'm glad that we've embraced that sport here. You and I, like you said, have always loved that sport, love playing that sport. Just love the energy that basketball brings.
Much rather watch it than any other sport. I mean, I love all sports, played all sports, loved them. But I would watch a basketball game over any other athletic event, and it's really not even close. I love football when Auburn's playing.
Right.
You'd never catch me just watching some random football game all day on Saturday. I'm not that type of fan. And, too many other sports. Baseball, I almost can't watch baseball. It's just too slow, man. And I love that sport and played it more than anything else I did, but I almost can't make myself sit through a whole game.
It's tough, man, if you're not like a avid purist of baseball. All right, let's get to our next TV and radio break. Everybody stay tuned. More to come right after this. Yeah, I'm like, it's tough, man, to watch a slow sport. something that's slow and guy gets the ball. And that's why baseball's tried to change so much and put a pitch clock in and have you can't walk around and grab yourself and scratch and spit 3 or 4 times and then get back up there and pitch and then do it again. And they've tried to keep that because you don't get a lot of fans outside of the pure baseball fans to be brought in because they don't see any excitement to it. Let's see what we got here. Yeah, my God, at the crowd.
Is it inside the arena?
All right, I'm going to see if I can load this and show it to everybody. No, it's a crowd outside.
It's outside waiting to get in. What time are they letting them in?
I don't know when they're.
What time's game day start? 9-ish?
Does it start at 9 or 10? Something like that. I'm about to see if I can pull this up and send this to email it, and then I'll put it on the.
You going to go around the SEC next, bro?
Yes, yeah. Let me see if I can send this to myself.
I haven't looked at the schedule. Who's Alabama play today?
Hold on one second. Let me try to get this before I get out of break, and I'll be right back. See if I can get it loaded up. See how fast I can get this done. Test my skills here. Let's see what we got here. Come on, load up.
LSU.
Yeah, at home.
That's a drumming.
It's going to be oh, man, ain't nothing to that.
10 a.m. Central. Justin.
Let's see. And add this. Everybody bear with me. Heard that one before, haven't we?
Chicklets.
Heard that. Wonder where he is now.
Ooh, if he's alive. Good gosh. You got to be kidding.
There it is. Yeah, it's wild, man. All right, let me see where we are on this break. All right, we got about 30 seconds. Here we go. I'll bring that back in. Multitasking over here, man. All right. 10 seconds.
Get you some WD-40 for that chair back there.
Here we go. All right, welcome back, everyone, to the Sports Blitz Saturday Sports Countdown presented by JR Sports Bar and Grill and Sunshine Heating and Air. If you want to know how big that crowd is that has formed outside Neville Arena. Now, again, most of these students would have probably started camping 2 days ago, and so they weren't able to do it because of the weather. The university wouldn't allow them, so they showed up this morning. There they are. Good Lord. So they're all going to
30-degree weather out there waiting to get in. 10 o'clock is game day this morning. So,
right. So
I'm sure that was taken just by looking maybe at 7-ish.
But like you look down through, you can't see where it ends. I mean, you can't see where that, and it's a mass of, I don't know, 20 people across all the way down to as far as your eyes can look. So if you don't think Auburn students are fired up that Auburn's number 1 in the country and they've got a great basketball program, you're crazy. They'd rather be doing that than going to class. There's no doubt about it, although you're not going to class on Saturday, but they would be out there in the middle of the week. Don't matter. They figure it out. So, we'll go around the SEC here. Again, we need to check on Luke. I don't know where he is. I hadn't heard from him. Man, it's not like him to – I know he's not asleep. He doesn't sleep.
As busy as we've been this week, he probably told us he wasn't going to be here, and you and I just kind of glanced by that message many days ago and never even looked back at it. That's going to be my bet.
Well, we'll go back and make sure that's the case. All right, so let's get into the around the SEC. and pull this schedule up today. Obviously, the headliner is Tennessee Auburn. We'll talk more about that later. Mississippi State will go to South Carolina. Mississippi State's a 6.5-point favorite on the road, but South Carolina is the best 0-6 team in this league. I don't know any other way to say it. And they've had 4 games they could have easily won, and they didn't do it. So they're 10-9. They're in desperate need of a win. They can win that game against Mississippi State at home because Mississippi State, the chink in their armor has been on the road, but they're a good basketball team. So can South Carolina get over the hump is the question. Can they get their first win?
Well, they better start sooner than later. You and I talked earlier in the week, and it may sound crazy, but I said South Carolina's on the cusp of making the NCAA tournament if they just win these 3 or 4 games that I've watched, including the Auburn game where I thought they were the better team that day, and we just found a way to win, which is a testament to Auburn right now. But South Carolina looked really strong, and it wasn't just that game. It's been a lot of them, but what are they, 0-6 in the league currently?
Yeah.
And you are who you are once you get this deep into the season. So Mississippi State's the one that needs to win here. They need to keep the pedal to the metal. I think there's going to get 7 or 8 teams. We'll get 7 or 8 teams in the SEC into the NCAA tournament. And Mississippi State's got to be that 6th, 7th, or 8th team is my guess when we get down to the nitty-gritty and making those decisions. So wins against teams where you're favored on the road are very important if you're on the cusp of making the tournament.
Yeah, Mississippi State's 3-3, and they're 15-4. So this is a big – if they want to continue – they're number 14 in the country. So, by the way, it's not like there's some chopped liver team. If they want to be a serious contender, they got to go on the road to an 0-6 program and get a win. So, but you know what? South Carolina's not going to go winless. They're going to get somebody. And, again, you don't want to be that team. But Mississippi State has struggled on the road. They struggled at Auburn, and they've struggled in a couple other places too. So we'll kind of see how that plays out. Keep going down. LSU will travel to Alabama. I have 0 expectations of that one being close. When you look down, Alabama's a 17.5-point favorite at home against LSU. LSU's not a very good basketball team. I hate to say it, Will Wade kind of, and you look at the NCAA and all the things that have happened. I didn't like Will Wade. I didn't like LSU, but man, they kind of made them a sacrificial lamb when they fired him, got rid of him. The whole team left. So you got to remember, LSU was pretty good, and when he left and everybody transferred out, they basically had the death penalty. So this program's trying to pick itself up off the mat with a brand new basketball team last year that had to come in, and they're trying to build off that. They're 12-6, but they're not a good team.
And Alabama is. Alabama had that tough midweek loss a couple of weeks ago, but they've come back strong. And, 2 things can be right on both ends. And, Alabama getting Aden Holloway has been great for their program. And Auburn losing Aden Holloway has been great for our program. So it can go both ways. I don't think either team would trade that transfer. No. So I'm glad for him that it's working out, and I'm glad for Auburn that you don't look across the state and go, man, what if we had him? No, none of us say that. We've got 2 point guards.
Looked at that.
We got 2 point guards that I wouldn't trade for anybody. But it is nice to see a talent like Aden Holloway get his confidence back, and he had 22 the other night. Brett, really shooting the ball well from the perimeter. Nate Oates has driven a lot of confidence back into that young man. And that's a sport where if you aren't confident shooting, right. We've seen it with J.P. Pegues this year. I still bet that if J.P. Pegues had the confidence and he had a few shots fall, because he was getting a lot of good shots, that thing could turn around.
That's really been the only disappointment for me this year with Auburn. Yeah. And we talk about that in a little bit later when we dive into that game. But did want
to hit on Alabama a little bit more while we're on them.
Right.
Mark Sears is still, in my opinion, the best point guard in the country when it comes to offense. He just has the ability to get to the free throw line, has the ability to generate all kinds of offense when things are going. Everything's going to live and die by the outside shot with Alabama because they're good in the post, but they're not great in the post. They're going to be easily good enough on the defensive end to keep themselves in any basketball game when it gets to tournament time and that pressure and the emotions ramp up. I think Alabama's really good when it comes to that, but they're going to live and die by that outside shot. And Aiden Holloway is a key to that, Brett. So we'll have to keep our eyes on what's going on there because both of our programs could easily win a national championship this year. And you said a little bit earlier that Auburn and Alabama have had stretches. They've never had a stretch like this, though. I mean, these two teams are consistently SEC championship contenders, Final Four contenders, national championship talk contenders. We've had moments. Alabama had a little glimpse of it in the 70s. Auburn had a really strong glimpse of it in the 80s, and Alabama was still there in the 80s, but never to this extreme. Never to the extreme where you go. Because Alabama, you got to think, a couple of years ago, they had Brandon Miller leave. And I go, Brett, they're about to come back down to earth, my friend. They're coming back to earth. I hope they lose 12 basketball games and hell, they make Final Four that next year without him. So, look, you can get caught up thinking this is Auburn's chance. I don't believe that. I think Bruce Pearl is a great chance, but I think he'll have another great chance next year as long as those two coaches are here.
I totally agree. I'm definitely not going to argue with you on that. I do think this is a very special team for Auburn. And I think, man, I don't want to say anything less than this would be a disappointment this year, but this team is so good and so well put together. I think the expectations, and probably with the team, inside the team, their expectations to get to the Final Four. We'll talk more about that in a little bit. We'll get to another break here on the TV and radio side. Stay tuned. More to come right after this. Yeah, I watched that. So I was at that shower last night, so I didn't get a chance to see that town hall. Good Lord, that man don't Trump.
Oh, it was. It's easy to sit here a week into it and watching him talk as much as he does, and your head explodes by how much he's getting done in a short period of time.
Right.
But that one right there was probably as impressive as anything I've seen him do, because
it's so easy to go into those things and turn right back into PC and everybody loves each other, and but he's like, man, I'm sick of this. These people are in bad shape and I don't want to hear this anymore. And he heard these, when somebody starts chirping a bunch of junk, he says, that's not how it is.
He goes into the woke liberal capital of the world in LA. And he sits down at the head beside the mayor over here. And the problem is everyone in the room, and a lot of them are libs in that room,
right,
are now agreeing with him because they're watching everything engulfed in just complete and total chaos.
It's hard to argue with all that.
Poor leadership. And so, when you're sitting in there, you sense, man, look around this room, dude. There's a bunch of libs in here, but these libs are agreeing with me, and I know I'm right, and they know I'm right, and I'm about to give it to them. And boy, what he said, because you and I deal with the government. I deal with the government, especially on the signage side, maybe more than I want. You've always dealt with them and working. Most are the most inept things I've ever dealt with is a government agency with a committee. You can't make a decision. Like, really, I mean, just give me one person that I can call and make a decision. I had one deal in the city of Elliott City one time. I was calling one department and calling the other department, and one department's not talking to the other department. I don't know if you were there with me, but I finally called the mayor and said, get everybody, whoever's got a department, get them in one room where I ain't got to deal with all these damn people anymore. Just get them all in one room and let's get this done. And that's the only way I got the building built out on 280. Because the hell, they were going to push that thing 6 months down the road.
That's what they were saying with this fire. Oh, yes, it is,
and that's
man.
what he was saying yesterday. He's like, you can come up with a million excuses not to turn these guys loose, to clean up their own property that they own, by the way.
Yeah, absolutely. They want to go in there, and they want to do it.
They want to leave. They want FEMA, and they want the city to make all the decisions.
Well, FEMA may not even exist anymore, so.
That old congressman that was sitting to his right.
Oh, man.
That poor guy.
Bob
over there.
Yeah, he said, well, if I thought like you did, he said, well, thinking why all the insurance companies left. He says, Mike can't get anything done. He said, yeah.
Can't get anything done.
It's just you can bureaucrat it to death. All right, here we go. Welcome back, everyone, to the Sports Blitz Saturday Sports Countdown presented by JR Sports Bar and Grill. Justin comes in with a comment. He said, JP going to transfer to Bama next year. Wouldn't be surprised, Justin. Probably an All-American. Just go over there. Can't shoot a lick over here and end up at Alabama and be all SEC first team. He also said Alabama averages 30 free throws a game at home. Alabama shot 530 free throws in 19 games. Auburn has only shot 337 in 18 games. They get to the line now. There ain't no question about it.
Well, Mark Sears is one of the best at it. He's got the frame for it, Brett. Now, Justin's a soccer fan, so Justin, just hang in there with me, my friend. But that's part of the game. It is part of the game, and sometimes it's one of the biggest parts of the game. You know, if you can get one called inside the penalty area and get up there and knock one in the back of the net, then that can change the whole dynamic of the game. And everybody can go, well, why is he flopping? Why is all this flopping? And I can't watch it. But it's a key part to the ball game. And I say that with Sears. Sears can get his body into you at the perfect time to where you got to call a foul. And a lot of it he's generating himself. I'm not saying that, but that's a talent, Brett. That's a real talent. And then, you know, you take Auburn's free throw shooting percentage. If we got to the line a little bit more, we'd be more dangerous than we are right now. Because Denver's going to knock down free throws. What's he's shooting 93% right now.
Yeah, it's a stupid.
CBM not shooting enough. At any part, we need CBM shooting.
He may be the best free throw shooter in the country.
Him getting to the free throw line, I think Denver's percentage is just as high as CBM's. Both of them are 90+%. So yeah, I mean that number right there is scary when you get into tournament play, because you're going to have a game where you're not shooting it well from the perimeter, and how you going to put points on the board. And one of the answers is get to the free throw line, and knock them down. And Alabama's been good at that.
They have. Let's continue to move around the conference. We'll come back in the hour number 2 and dive some more into Auburn and Alabama specifically. Kentucky will go to Vanderbilt. Now, Vanderbilt's a different team at home. Vanderbilt's 15-4. Obviously struggled on the road, but won a couple really big games at home. And Kentucky, they're just as vulnerable as the rest of us. How about that? When they go on the road, Vanderbilt just knocked off Tennessee last week. This Tennessee team that Auburn's about to play. So Kentucky's a 2.5-point favorite in this game. So that is basically a toss-up. That's what everybody's saying. So wouldn't be surprised if Vanderbilt won this basketball game. But I do think Kentucky goes in. I'll applaud Pope for going in and doing what he's done with Kentucky this first year. I think a lot of people thought that wasn't a very good hire. It kind of was like, well, you know, he's a former player and all, but everybody was a little skeptical. Kentucky fans are hard on their program because they've been the best forever. And they had just had enough of John Calipari, so they were willing to do whatever. But he's come in to a program where everybody thought, man, they've taken a monumental step backwards. They haven't really. They're still right there at the top of this league, where Kentucky always will be if you got a guy that can lead up front.
Yeah, I've been impressed so far, but they're no world beater. And
they are number 9 in the nation.
Watching them last Saturday, that was no fluke. Alabama was the best team. And then Auburn needs to do the same, Brett. We need to find a way to beat Kentucky later in the year. And we're a much better team than Kentucky. I truly believe that.
We just got to get over the mental part of going up to Rupp Arena and thinking we can't win a game. That's what it is at this point. I mean,
and I think we will. I think this team will this year. I think there's ways to win on the road, and we have found ways to win when we haven't played well. And Tahad Pettiford has no problem playing anywhere. I think he plays better when the emotions are up.
Yeah, I expect him to have another big game tonight.
What kind of freshman he is.
All right, so Luke's alive. He said he can join at 8 o'clock. So we'll be glad to welcome Luke in here at the top of the hour. Texas A&M at Texas. It's a rival game. Texas is a 1.5-point favorite. It's a Texas team is getting better. A Texas A&M team that is number 13 in the country. I like Buzz as a coach. I think he does a really good job recruiting, and he's built, Texas A&M up to a team when you look up, and they're always in the top 15. So that should be a fun game, between two rivals. Georgia will go to Florida. That Georgia team, again, been really good at home. It's had its struggles on the road. Florida 17-2. They're number 5 in the country. So, Randy, going back to Auburn real quick, we got the number 6 Tennessee Volunteers coming in and the number 5 Florida Gators coming in all within a couple of weeks.
Can't ask for a better schedule. It really is lined up perfectly for Auburn, that the big-time teams that you would be very scared to go on the road and play are actually coming to Neville Arena this year. So if you ever had a year for it to align correctly, it's this one, and got to take advantage of today. This is a massive, massive game, and we'll talk about it in the second hour. I know a little bit more, Brett, but just a massive game tonight. Ramp up the pressure there in Neville Arena and hope that Tennessee comes out shooting it like they did at Florida a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah, let's hope the game day curse doesn't continue from last year. Last year, Auburn had game day with Kentucky coming in. Now, again, Auburn had just come off a big win against South Carolina, who was number 1 in the conference at that time, and beat them by 40 on that Wednesday night. I was there, and I remember students walking out and getting in line for the Kentucky game right after the game. That's how crazy that was. And not going to say that was a distraction, but, when you beat a team by 40, it's number 1. I don't want to say that we kind of overlooked Kentucky. I don't think we did. We just didn't play as good as we normally do at home. And Kentucky came in and played really well because they're used to playing in raucous environments, and they ended up winning that game. I will say this, and I'm sure game day will go to a Duke game this year or a Kansas game, but as of now, Auburn's the only program that game day's been to 5 consecutive years in a row. How about that? Auburn University basketball is the only program that game day has come to 5 consecutive years in a row. And that's including Kansas and Duke and North Carolina and UCLA and all these blue blood programs.
Well, you showed the photo a little bit earlier. Why wouldn't you come back to a place that's that rabid? And Bruce Pearl sells it and goes on camera and pitches the program and pitches college basketball as good as anybody out there. So it's easy to understand why they're there.
Yeah, no doubt about it. All right, got to get out here to the top of the hour break. Again, we'll come back. We have a whole nother hour coming your way. Have Luke Robinson join us when we come back. Stay tuned. More to come here on the Saturday Sports Countdown.
Got to talk transfer portal, Brett. When does that go
all this?
When does that go into effect?
Well,
is it current?
You talking about
no transfer portal?
I mean, it's basically
now.
Yeah, I mean that guy unenrolling at Wisconsin pretty much. What it did was say that you don't need a portal. I mean, you can't force me to stay at a school that I don't want to stay at. And so what the NCAA has to do is change the rule about immediate eligibility. So, like, we talked about it the other day, and technically the way it's written right now, somebody from Notre Dame or somebody from Ohio State could have left school. Now, I know this is an extreme deal, and school.
Yeah, but extreme things are what you need to look for.
But guess what? At that point in time, school was out. School had just started. You were probably in the window of time to get into a college. Literally, a player from Notre Dame or Ohio State could have transferred to the other team during the week of the championship game.
I believe. Yeah, you got to fix it.
If you don't think that's a problem, then you're part of the problem. I think that's the best way to sum that up. And nobody likes this. I haven't been in any conversation with any single person that goes, man, I love the hell out of this. This is great. I mean, nobody likes it. So we'll talk about junior day. I want to get some recruiting updates for Luke because this junior day at Auburn is stupid. I've never seen a list like this. And I had a chance to talk to Marcus Davis for a while at Ben Russell the other day, and man, I don't know who's better out there than that guy.
Him. Is he
I don't know
great?
who's better than that guy.
Who's the receivers coach at Alabama that's so good too that we had at Benjamin Russell for a whole day on a Friday this past year, sat down below us during
You
the
talking
game.
about the Alabama receiver coach? You have to ask Luke because I don't know him.
Yeah, you remember he came to watch the Darien in
the
game.
Yeah, he's been back. He's been back a couple times.
He's real good too.
Great personality.
Yeah, we got two great ones in this state going at each other for some of the best recruits that we're seeing.
Right, Jamarcus Shepard.
Yeah, he's really good too.
Justin said. So yeah, I try to tend to concentrate on our team. I don't really care what.
Well, I try to tend, especially on this show, to try to help you be at least semi in the middle. And I know I've been doing it for 20 years. I've been doing it for 20 years.
Try to hide it. I don't try to hide it. People know there's something wrong with me if I start coming on here saying a bunch of stuff like, oh yeah, that guy, I like his personality. So no, ain't doing it.
My granddad actually used to compliment me on that, Brett. So I'm gonna keep doing it to you.
All right, here we go. We're back here now. Welcome back, everyone, to the Sports Blitz Saturday Sports Countdown presented by JR Sports Bar and Grill. I think I missed that break a little bit there, Russ. We were talking a little bit, so you had to bring us in, or maybe you buffered us in. Luke, we're just worried. We were worried a little bit. I was worried that I sent you a text, and I hadn't heard from you, and no response after I sent the link. So, just glad to see you're up and moving around, brother.
It is, as you well know, it is very rare I sleep past about 6 o'clock on any given day of any time, no matter what time I go to bed. But last night I stayed up entirely too late and woke up at about 7:52, which, I mean, for me, might as well be 2 in the afternoon.
Yeah, because you're about to go right back to sleep.
I know. I'm not even going to make the bed up or nothing. I'm just coming right back to it.
As soon as this is over, he's going to go back and get in the bed and start the cycle.
Start looking towards Sunday.
Absolutely. Well, Luke, we got a lot to talk about here in hour number 2. We really just started talking about Auburn and Alabama basketball. Going around the league real quick, I'm going to finish this up. Ole Miss will go to Missouri today. That's a good Missouri team. It's also a good Ole Miss team. That's going to be a fun game to watch. There's 2 15-4 teams. Randy, you said it the other day. Glad we grabbed Missouri when we did. Man, they're a big physical team. We heard Coach Pearl talk about them and say, and he said they're going to win a lot of basketball games this year. And they were unranked, and now they're number 22. And if they get that win over Ole Miss today at home, they're just going to keep moving up the poll.
Well, both teams right there on the cusp of making the NCAA tournament. I think that it depends on games like this on which ones get through. So a very big one to watch there. We mentioned Mississippi State a little bit earlier, going on the road at South Carolina, Luke. Just going around the league talking about some of these teams. And, it probably takes 9, if not 10 wins in league play to get to the NCAA tournament for the most part. 10 wins has you a 10-8 mark. And I think anybody with 10 wins in the SEC is going to make the tournament. But a lot of these teams are right there at 500, Luke.
Well, I'm looking at the ESPN bracketology right now. I mean, now that bracketology comes out a lot more and from a lot more sites, I love looking at that, just like you love looking at, who's going to make the college football playoffs or who's going to go to what bowl game. And I just pulled ESPN up randomly last night and was looking at it, and that's why it's still up on my screen. But they have Vandy and Oklahoma being 2 of the last 4 byes. They have Texas being one of the last 4 in, and then no SEC teams in first 4 out or next 4 out. They have 13 SEC teams making it. Now, all those teams aren't going to have 10 wins in the conference for sure. I mean, that's just not going to happen. I'm just going really quickly. They have Auburn as number 1 overall seed playing in the South region, which would be Atlanta in the Sweet 16 and Elite 8. And they have Mississippi State in that region as a 5 seed. So that could be Auburn and Mississippi State in the Sweet 16 potentially. Then you got Kentucky as a 3. So they have 3 SEC teams over on that side. The East bracket is Duke as a 1. But you have A&M as a 4, which, A&M got a nice win at Oklahoma the other night, and they've got They're Wade Taylor back, so they're looking a lot better. They got Oklahoma as a 10 and Tennessee as a 2. And what would be weird is Oklahoma and Tennessee could very well play in the very second round, which you don't see a lot. But when you have 13 teams, might be unavoidable because it might happen to Alabama. Alabama's a 1 seed in the Midwest. Georgia would be the 9 seed. Then let's see, out of that same region, you've got Missouri. So, and Texas. Texas would be in the play-in game. So there are 4 SEC teams in that one. And then the final one, you've got Florida as a 2 and Vandy as a 10. And Ole Miss as a 5. So there's your different SEC teams right there. That's just a lot of teams. We're just a really strong league. Now, I don't know how many of our teams could actually win like the national championship, but
well, I want to ask you this, Luke, and Justin brought this up. He brought the question that literally was in my mind because I had somebody ask me this last night. You know, when Alabama loses a game and when Auburn loses a game, they lost to Duke, obviously. But, you know, one of the things that how many games – now, we're only a third of the way through the SEC schedule. But it's clear as a bell, and I think this will prove all the way out through the SEC schedule. I don't know how we will all end up. I don't think Alabama will have more than maybe 4 losses. I don't think Auburn will have more than 4 losses in conference play. What will it take to drop? I mean, surely it would take a monumental collapse by either team to just start playing terrible to drop them off the number 1 line, the number 1 seed line in any bracket.
Well, for instance, I think Alabama and Auburn, they're going to get a lot of leeway because of their schedules. I mean, I've been saying that, you know, for a long time now, and both teams are big time beneficiaries of having not only just played really good teams, but beaten really good teams. Even if you look at the top 10 right now, Auburn will have played, you know, number 2 Duke, number 3 Iowa State, number 4 Alabama twice, number 5 Florida, number 7 Tennessee, number 6 Tennessee, number 7 Houston, number 9 Kentucky, and number 11 Purdue, number 13 A&M, 14 Mississippi State, 16 Ole Miss, and Alabama will have played all those same teams except, of course, number 1 Auburn twice, and they would add in number 15 Oregon, and they would add in number 17 Illinois. And I know Illinois got beat the other day at home, but apparently they had like a bunch of players that had been struck with a sickness, and it really cost them against Maryland. I listened to some Las Vegas guy talk about that. He said that was his big play of the day because a lot of people didn't realize how many people they had out with sickness or something. But, I mean, they both played Purdue. They both played Kentucky. The number of teams they both played that are in the top 20 is ridiculous. And then if you stretch it into the top 25, of course, you both played Missouri. Auburn played Memphis. And weirdly, Alabama played Memphis in like a preseason game that didn't matter. So, I mean, they're just both so battle-tested. And nobody else has played a schedule like that. Not Duke, not anybody else. Now, I'm getting this feeling that Duke is becoming sort of that lovable team again that the nation just wants to just grab onto. You're already seeing people go, how can Duke get the number 1 overall seed? Because everybody loves Cooper Flagg. And they should. He's incredible. I mean, Cooper Flagg probably is the best player in the country. I would give Player of the Year to Johni Broome unless he misses a couple more games or unless he doesn't come back and play as well. But Cooper Flagg probably is the best individual player. I mean, he's just ridiculous, and his skill set just can't be matched. But in terms of, you know, how much of a better team, he makes them a better team. But
I will say this about Cooper Flagg. I think if you took him off that team, they wouldn't be near the team.
Oh, that's true. Yeah. That's where it may have.
But I still like Johni Broome. Yeah, but I and that may hurt Johni Broome, Randy, that he's missed these games here. I don't know. I think Johni Broome, from a longevity standpoint, maturity wise, the skill wise, he's got that it factor for that. But Cooper Flagg, man, it's 2 different skill sets. It's 2 different players.
Well, it is, but Johni's going to have a strong end of the season to hold on because Flagg's playing so good down the stretch. He had that 42-point game. He has the win against Auburn where he had a really good game. So I think Johni still got a chance to win it. But if it were me guessing on the way that's going to go right now, it would be Cooper Flagg winning the National Player of the Year.
I mean, don't win in a pinch, go with the Duke guy. I mean, I'm not saying it's right. I'm just saying that's what most people.
They've always got
win in the pinch. Go with the guy that's going to be the number one pick in the NBA draft that everybody's known for the last 3 years too. I mean,
and it should have nothing to do with this, but like I may have seen one mock draft that has Janai going in the first or second round, and
I haven't seen it either. Brett, have you looked at that?
No, I haven't seen it. I haven't seen
Cooper Flag is like unanimous, not
right.
around.
And I think probably that's going to end up being the deal. I think that's going to be the thing. Let's just
not saying it's fair.
No, but it's reality.
Well, and the reality though, the reality also is he's missed a lot. He's missed several games.
That killed him.
Going. Yeah,
I think
if he wouldn't have missed those games, I think Janai had all of the momentum going his direction. I really believe that he would have won it. For the 4 years that he's put together.
And I think it had to do with the team too. I think, where your team is and number one. And I think he had that, but since he's missed and Auburn's kept it going, they're like, okay, now when Cooper Flag had that 40+ point game the other day and they had to have all 40 something of it because they only won by 6 or 8. And I mean, it wasn't like they ran away from the team and he had to have that kind of game. All right, let's get to our break for TV and radio. Stay tuned. More to come right after this.
Yeah, Luke, let's update Alabama recruiting. How's football recruiting going for Alabama right now?
It's going really well. I mean, they don't have a lot of guys for it. They got Xavier Gibson. I don't know if they got anybody else for next year, but that's fine. Or they got that Guerra kid for 2 years from now. I don't even care if they get to. I've been such a recruitnik all my life and loved all the commitments anytime. I mean, I never thought I'd get to this point. I'm sort of just wait me when it gets to be like 5 minutes before they sign. That's when the drama will hit because it's going to be.
Yeah, really. I mean, it's been like that for a while now. I mean,
well, it has kind of, but now, I mean, did you see the reports on ESPN? They're like Jeremiah Smith's getting calls about $4.5 million.
Quinshon Judkins is too.
Yeah, I mean, so it's like
it is so broken, y'all. This thing has been destroyed. It is literally who's got the biggest gun and who's got the most gold. This is the Wild West. Like, come get my gold. You come get my gold, I'm gonna shoot you.
Yeah.
I mean, that's where you've got coaches literally issuing threats to one another. I see you coming around. I mean, they're literally like saying, I want to get out here in the street and whip your ass. You come around my player. I mean, it's
Luke is transfer portal done? Is that after that decision this week? Is that it? I mean, they can go anytime they want.
People are still getting in it, but I think he might have just been the test subject that somebody used, and I can't see what they're going to do if it's not done. I mean, what are you going to do? Nothing.
Well, the only thing that schools can do is prevent – they have to put a window on – or the NCAA says, okay, you can transfer whenever. You can drop out of school and go somewhere, but you can't go play immediately.
Yeah.
Because they had that – and we'll talk about it on – I don't want to repeat it again. So let's come back to all that when we come back on the TV and radio side. There's an extreme – and like Randy said, you got to look at the extreme cases because if it's a possibility, somebody's going to try it eventually. And literally Notre Dame and Ohio State, they could have had a player transfer the week of the national championship game to the other team and play immediately with the way the rules are written right now.
Well, and they talked about they talked about some of the there was another rumor out there about some of the Ohio State or Oregon players, maybe it was, said, I'm not going to go out there if I don't get blank.
7 seconds. 7 seconds. Here we go. We'll keep this going. Welcome back, everyone, to the Sports Blitz Saturday Sports Countdown presented by JR Sports Bar and Grill and Sunshine Heating and Air. Get your comments in. Got some comments rolling through. We'll get to them as you have them. Again, we have a ton to talk about. We've kind of shifted gears. We'll come back to basketball before we go off. But football recruiting, Auburn's got a massive junior day. Luke, while we've got you in, because we talk on the Auburn Blitz podcast every morning about this, where's Alabama currently in football recruiting? I know this is the time to kind of ramp up and look at some of these kids in the 26 class.
Yeah, I mean, they don't have a ton of commitments or anything right now. They do have Zion Gibson, who is one of the top players in the state for next year out of Gaston City. And their junior day is going to be on February 1. So it'll be a week after Auburn's, and they expect Tank Jones there and C.D. Morgan, of course, from BRHS, and Jamarian Matthews, who a lot of people love from Sparkman, who's really going up the rankings right now. Camarion Johnson from Muscle Shoals is a guy that, like Georgia and everybody else, has offered recently. Jabarius Guerra, who is the 27 edge from Viger that's been committed to Alabama, and E.J. Crowell, the number one running back who just reclassified out of Jackson High School. He's going to be at junior day, apparently.
Yeah, he's at Auburn this weekend. So
yeah, there's some out-of-state guys. Tristan Keys, a 5-star wide receiver out of Hattiesburg that everybody seems to love. Xavier Griffin, I think, who grew up sort of an Alabama fan in Alabama, but he committed to USC. And as we talked about on Locked On Bama, how many times we've seen a guy commit to USC very, very early from Georgia or Alabama or Mississippi and then end up somewhere else. I mean, it's almost like, again, I'm not accusing anybody of anything, and it's all kind of legal. So it just seems like maybe they get some kind of incentive to commit to them early, and then they come back and they end up going somewhere else. I'm not sure.
Well, didn't we hear that? Didn't somebody say that there were some colleges paying players to commit? Didn't we hear that this year?
To visit, to commit and visit. Yeah, like separate things. Yeah, I've heard that from other – but you don't know what's real anymore, and it doesn't even matter. I mean, it's like, how do you even get – that used to be the kind of thing that everybody made them feel icky. I don't think it makes anybody feel that way now. They're just like, yeah, I mean, that's just the way it goes. But they've got a big junior day coming up. Those are the big names. Brandon Arrington, the 5-star number 1 athlete in the country from California, is good. They're still out there recruiting the state of California a lot. But of course they are keeping more of an emphasis on Alabama this time, which you could tell was coming. I mean, this wasn't a great year for Alabama to the university to probably try and make a ton of inroads into the state when, this was an entirely new staff. And so, yeah, I think that's okay. Give them a year to get here and get their foothold and then start working on the state again. And that's what they seem to be doing. And that, I think that'll appease several of the masses. But again, as I said off air, even as a bigger recruitnik as I am, and I never thought I'd get to this spot, it's just like we've already seen a lot of commitments and decommitments from all over the place. And then when you see reports about Jeremiah Smith at Ohio State getting, offers for $4.5 million to go somewhere, it's sort of like, even if they are committed, and then even if they are signed, because we've seen somebody who was signed to Oregon already transfer to Oklahoma this year. He signed with them.
Well, he went to the Rose Bowl with them.
Yeah,
he traveled with the team,
and then he transferred like a month or two later. It's just there's nothing, and so it's almost like it's futile to talk about any of it, because in the end, you can have the best relationship, and the coach can be dating the mama, and you could have given them an incredibly fair offer on NIL. And if somebody comes around and says, all that stuff you got from them, I'm going to double it. Okay. I mean, and if you're smart about it, I don't think you go down that road. I don't think you follow that, because when you start doing that, then more people are going to take you financially hostage. And, I guess you can do it if you believe that somebody's going to get a wrangle on the system, and then there won't be retribution about this later. There won't be fallout about it later. But if you don't think the system's going to get cured, and you start allowing people to take you hostage and talk about your players like, if you want to go there, I'm going to give you double. And if you start trying to match that, all of a sudden, why doesn't everybody on your team start doing that? When everybody figures that out, we're all in a bunch of trouble. So that's why I'm hoping, at least from Alabama's side, I keep being told Alabama's giving, very competitive, above and beyond competitive NIL offers. But some of these offers that come to these guys are ridiculously, I don't want to use the term unfair, because you're worth what somebody will pay you, but ridiculously out of balance from what you should be getting. And so I think a certain defensive back from last year, for instance, I think that Auburn was probably involved with, and maybe another team out west. It seems to me that that particular kid got probably an offer you can't refuse it. I don't care how much you love Auburn or how much you love Alabama or how much you love anybody. He's like, yeah, I'm going to go there because did you tell me did you hear what I'm getting? And all of a sudden, then they're not playing for your school as much anymore. And the whole thing, it creates a downfall because as somebody else said, while everybody was complaining and whining, college football is the only thing without a real playoff. Yeah, but we had the most fun. Nobody cared about the regular season more than us, college football fans. Nobody. We cared about it so much. Now, we had a bit of a gripe, and the old school way wasn't the best way to do it. But just like every single thing else, we have gone so far on the other end of the spectrum that now we've screwed it up a whole new way. We just screwed it up a different way. That's all we've done.
Yeah, and it's almost unrecoverable at this point. I mean, and the same question, Randy, I know we got to get to break. The same question you keep asking is until somebody, and I don't know who that somebody is and what committee that's going to form that's going to have any power. It looks like it's going to have to, and as much as it makes me want to throw up to say this, it looks like the government is going to have to step in and regulate college athletics. And look, I know we hate the government. We hate everything. I mean, they're like Donald Trump's trying to do away with several federal agencies right now because you're finding out they're worthless and they're a waste of money. So why do you want to hand off college football and college athletics to the government so they can screw it up another way, Luke? But I don't know who else you lean to at this point. But let's get to break. We'll keep this going on the online side, and we'll continue when we come back. Stay tuned. More to come right after this.
You got to get to somebody that's got some teeth.
That's right. You got to get somebody can enforce the law. It's here's the law.
Only people who have teeth right now are the players and their agents.
There you go.
They got all the leverage.
That's right. But because there's never a court battle that goes for the NCAA, it goes in the NCAA's favor right now.
All right. So
and if that's the case,
they could have worked something out many moons ago, but they got so cocky. And then, I think it was, I can't remember who I was talking to, maybe Truitt. I don't remember, but he was talking like maybe, he said, but the players should be so grateful. You got the NCAA schools have all the venues, Bryant-Denny Stadium, Jordan-Hare Stadium, Sun Devil Stadium. And I was like, yeah, but if I was a player, I'd say, how valuable is that stadium if
no, it was me and you on the phone the other day.
Oh, okay. Maybe
I was about that.
Yeah. Okay. But, it's funny. The reason I said we screwed up going too far last night, I like watching Bill Maher now. He is like he's a little left leaning for me, but
he's not near as like he was.
And he's figured out some of these folks on this side are crazy. Now he doesn't like the right, but he understands like this is, the ammunition that left is using is so bad that they're never going to win again or something. Well, he had Stephen A. Smith on there last night for some reason, and he had a Democratic senator or Democratic congressman from California. And the congressman kept saying things like, the Democrats are always for the people and the Trump's not doing anything for this and that. And Stephen A. said, let me tell you something. See, everything you said is really nice, but y'all don't do any of that. Y'all just tell people that. And he said, I voted for Kamala Harris. He said, but I know a lot of people who voted for Trump because they relate more to what Trump is saying. They're like, I can deal with Trump's negative stuff more than I can deal with the lies you're telling.
Well, guess what? When a fire sweeps through and burns down every single thing you own, it'll change your perspective.
Well, and that's what he was saying.
I hate to be that blunt about it, but it's almost like, yeah, okay, I hear you. I know you say I don't really like that guy, but now what he was saying kind of made sense.
And he said, he said the other thing he said, the Lincoln Riley bill. Bill Maher said, you voted against it, meaning the congressman. And he said, I did. He said, because it said arrested. Or convicted. He said, I don't think if you're arrested, what if you're innocent? We have a due process and whatever. And Stephen A. had another good point. He said, yeah, here's the problem. Y'all have created so many loopholes for the justice system to drag their feet.
Well, guess what?
You could be arrested and then not convicted for 10 years.
Here's the simple answer to this. When you have the word illegal in front of your name, when you get arrested, I don't care what you've done in the past. You shouldn't have been over here anyway.
He said that. You should watch that episode. It was really good. He said,
who in Congress would vote against the Lincoln Riley bill? Please tell me why 156 people voted against that bill.
And on the surface,
you got to go. We're about to go. Yeah, we're coming back. I'm just Trump was right. You're either number one, you're stupid, or you hate the country. Period. It's just one of two. You only have two options. All right, welcome back everyone to the Sports Blitz Saturday Sports Countdown presented by JR Sports Bar and Grill and Sunshine Heating and Air. About 30 minutes left in the show today. Talking about this portal, we could continue talking about this. Randy, I said there's an extreme example or scenario here that could happen with the way this kid transferred from Wisconsin to Miami, unenrolled, and Wisconsin said, well, you can't do that. And the guy's like, yeah, pretty much you can. You know, I can go. And he did it. And then he went down there.
I'm in Miami. What you going to do?
And the NCAA has no rule that says you can't play immediately. So he can go down there and play immediately. So literally, with the way the national championship game fell and with school ending and school starting back, you're still within a window of time for an academic school to say, okay, you can come down here and transfer and enroll in classes. Literally, somebody from Notre Dame or Ohio State could have transferred the week of the national championship game to the other team and played against their old team.
That is so dumb, and I'll give Randy his platform, but it reminds me of a Louis C.K. joke where Louis C.K. said one time he was running late at the airport. He had rented a car, and he wasn't going to make his flight. So he gets to the airport, and he just throws his rental keys like on the rental car right out front of the airport because he's like, I had to run right in. He said, you didn't even need luggage. You know, I didn't need it. It was a one-day thing. So he threw his keys in his car, runs to the thing, gets on the plane. Then he was like, I guess I should call the rental company. So he picked up the phone as he was taxiing away and said, hey, this is Hertz. He said, yeah, just want to let you know I left your rental cars over there by Section D at the airport. And the guy said, you can't do that. He said, well, I'm already on the airplane, so I've done it. And if you want your car, the keys are in it. And the guy goes, all right.
I guess I'll go.
Louis C.K. said, I realized I should do this every time. Like, you can't tell me I can't do something. Then I've already done it, and I get no penalty for it. He was like, what are you going to do? Not let me rent from Hertz again? I'll just do the next thing $1. And he said, that's exactly the way this is. The kid said, I don't need your transfer portal. Well, yeah, you do. He's like, well, I'm already enrolled in Miami, and I've had practice, so I got to go. So I mean, it's the same thing.
Well, Luke props me up there, Brett, because y'all know where I'm going with this, is until you find somebody with some teeth, and that may need to be the federal government, which you bring up, Brett.
Mm-hmm.
If that's the only place that you can go and end up in the Supreme Court and Supreme Court makes some decisions, then you're not going to lose any battles. And the NCAA is winning no battles in the court. So why don't you just do the Louis C.K. and just do exactly what you choose to do, and then say, I tell you what, here's my middle finger, and you can watch it. You can do whatever you want to.
I was literally going to say everybody's just walking around flipping everybody off right now.
Well,
it's not the best way to run a society.
No, it's what we're getting in college athletics, and I'm gonna keep bringing this up because I feel like I'm the only one saying it, but I have no clue how this works out with Title IX, and how that Title IX concept's not being talked about more and more and more as we find ways to get away from the collective and for the college football players to take their salaries. You can say they're outside of the university's oversight, but their salaries, and that's not what we thought this was all going to be. No shorter than 3 or 4 years ago. But Luke, we all got a mutual friend that was very, very involved in Alabama's collective setup, and I've had a lot of talks with him, and he mentioned that 3 or 4 years ago, this is where it's going. And it's funny to watch 3 or 4 years later, exactly what he said several years ago is exactly the way this thing's played out. And I didn't believe it then, but I do now. And it is a wild, wild west setup. And until somebody can go into the court battle and win one, Brett, it won't change.
Yeah. I hate to bring this up, but it's almost like the NCAA is sitting there like Trump and J.D. Vance on the front row of the church when that preacher or whatever was up there just kind of scolding him, and the facial expressions. And it's like you're being told by the guys like, well, you can't do that. And he's like, can she just please shut up? I mean, it's like, I don't want to listen to, I mean, it's to that point where you're like, man, all this is idle talk. Like, it means nothing. Nobody's doing anything about this. They have literally sat back, and I don't even know who they is anymore when I revert to that. But they have sat back and allowed this sport to deteriorate for look, we all capitalist on here. We love it. But you have to, I've said this, Randy knows this, Luke. I've said it a billion times. You have to have rules and regulations in society. Everybody just can't free willy-nilly go out and get whatever the hell they want to all the time. You have to have progression to things.
Jerry Seinfeld said it best. We're trying to have a society here. When George Costanza wanted to do one of his dumb things, he's like, why can't I do that? Because we're trying to live. We're just trying to have a society where everything getting nuts. And look, we don't know who the governing body is right now. And if we do know, we don't respect them. And that's a huge problem.
I mean, how bad is that right there, guys? Seriously. You're running a multi-billion-dollar thing that nobody knows who the heck's in charge. That's where we are.
The ones that are in charge can't win any battles, Brett. That's the point I made to start this segment, and that's how we can end it. We don't have to sit on here and do 3 or 4 segments every 2-hour show that we do talking the same thing until they find a leader and give him some power and list 6 to 10 things that are demands by the NCAA to not let this sport go to hell in a handbasket, and decide if that has to go through the federal process and get moving in that direction. It'll never get fixed.
But
and there are going to be talking heads like us that are going to watch what's happening with Wisconsin going down to Miami and the middle finger getting flipped up by all of these players, because all of the power that Luke just said is where we are.
Well,
all the power currently is with the players and the people that are handling them.
We don't want to talk about it. I think the 3 of us wish we don't ever talk about it again, but we're forced to talk about it because those stories make us talk about it. It's like it's forced into our mouth every time we go on the air. Unfortunately, it's not that we're breaking this and we want to talk about the portal. It's all the things that are going on that force us to talk about the portal. I mean, it's just what we are now. It's crazy. So, yeah, Kyle said, I don't know if you've seen the videos, pictures from the students all this morning, but I'm afraid Bruce Pearl has built something that University of North Arena can handle. Well, we're getting some texts right now from some students that said, man, it was mass chaos. When they opened the door,
are hurt.
Yeah, there's people with broken legs and all kind of crap. I mean, you have got, look, I know there's excitement, but that kind of is I hate to say it, a segue into what we've been talking about. When you just let everybody mob an entrance, you're going to get that. Well, I think that's kind of what's going on in college football. When you just let everybody just kind of go do whatever the heck they want to do and they don't have to abide by any rules and regulations, you get people that get hurt. You get things that get hurt. You get things that get destroyed. So
how many times have we seen it like on a, Black Friday's a pretty interesting idea. It's kind of a fun idea. I know it's a marketing ploy, all those things, but how many times have we seen it where, it started out as one thing, and then next thing you know, the next year people are camping out, and then the next year there are people getting in fist fights about what part of the line they are, and something that turns into, that was a good idea, like game day, and just, let the kids come and do their thing. Well, now, I just read a social media report from Auburn students saying, there are people out here with bloody noses, there's a broken arm, there's a broken leg. And it's like, it's just because everybody just acted a fool because there's no barriers. Wow. So when there's no real tangible barriers, this also happens in the transfer portal.
Bingo.
If you don't have barriers of either imaginary or real, then something is going to happen, and nobody respects the authority. They said, the girl said that, there were a lot of security figures around. None of them did anything because they're probably scared to touch somebody because then they'll get sued. That's the other thing is that's one thing that I do appreciate is sort of Trump's like, I'm just going to do this and then we're going to deal with the fallout because everybody keeps saying, you can't do this. I got to get it checked by this and this and this. All those things suck. We're going to make some stuff happen.
And I know we got to get to break, Randy, but I do like what he said the other day, sitting in front of the Resolute desk, and one of the reporters asking me, he went on this long rant about the feds and saying that, he wants the interest rates dropped and he wants some things done. And the girl said, do you think the feds are going to listen to you? And he went, yeah, I do. And he just moved on to probably going to. So, all right, let's get to our next break. Stay tuned. More to come right after this. I'm telling y'all, look, again, everybody that watches the show knows that we're Trump supporters, and that just is what it is. but we have been in a cartoon for 4 years. Like,
yeah.
You're going to study these last 4 years and go, I don't know how we didn't collapse as a society. Like, we have had just, again, the border was Auburn getting in Neville Arena this morning. I mean, that's what people are like, man, have y'all heard? Y'all get in the United States for free, and you ain't got to have any documentation. It's just, and just no, and then you're penalizing the people for trying to protect the border. Now it's changed.
Well, I'll go back to what Stephen A. Smith was saying. He was like, okay, he said, I understand what you're saying about the arrested versus convicted. He said that kind of makes sense on the surface. But he said, what y'all do then is y'all get somebody to, tell us we got to go through this loophole and this loophole. And then you get somebody to tell you how hard a life he had it in Honduras. Meanwhile, there are people who've been paying taxes that are citizens here. They get convicted, arrested during his trial. And he said people don't respect that anymore. It used to be, okay, we want to help the underdog. The problem is everybody in the world has become an underdog and wants to come over here, and we can't sustain it. So you can keep talking about how can you keep, desperate people out? Well, because the only reason they want to come here is because we have a place they want to come. If we just allow all of them over here and allow them all to bring their own rules, the same things are going to happen.
What about Tom Homan? That guy from Haiti getting in the back of that truck, and he's like, I ain't going back to Haiti. And then they flashed over to him. He said, yeah, he's pretty much going back to Haiti.
Yeah, he's going straight back to Haiti. Well, we won't take you all the way to Haiti. Then we'll drop you off about 2 waves short. You can just swim in. How about that? Or you can try swimming the other way.
I mean, you got to have somebody. You don't have to agree with every single thing that person does, but you got to have somebody that has some type of leadership and enforceability to say, okay, I hear all of you, but I'm the boss. I'm going to make the call. I had somebody tell me this week, they said 85% of the time I'm your colleague, but 15% of the time I've got to be the boss. And when I walk in here and I say it's got to be done this way, it's going to be done this way. And nobody has a say in that. Now, 85% of the time, I'm your colleague. I want us to work harmoniously. I'm going to let you do your job. But there's sometimes I got to come in here and make a call, and I don't need your input. So it's going to be this way, whether you agree with it or not. So it's the harsh reality.
Watched the press conference last night in L.A. Did you see the town hall in L.A. last night, Luke?
No.
Unbelievable.
What happened?
Trump.
He had the mayor of LA sitting to his right, and he had the congressman from California about 3 seats over to his right. It was an hour of glory. I've seen some great ones. No, it's not that he was derogatory to him, but he was so direct on how inept the leadership has been, and he had everybody in the room was on Trump's side. Outside of these few Dems that were in there, which was wild. I mean, he's sitting in LA, but you've got the fire department, the police department, you've got the mayor sitting up there, and she's their boss, but they're still being very vocal on how piss poor all the planning was that caused all of this, and is worth your half hour to an hour to go back and watch it.
When that woman said, when you're a victim and a fireman comes, you want that fireman to look like you. I'm like, no, if it looked like me, we're both burning up. I need somebody who's a lot smarter than me, and I don't care what creed, nationality, faith, I don't care. Can you pick me up? And then she said, well, what about a man who's 250 pounds? And she said, well, he's probably got himself a situation he shouldn't be in. I'm like, hey, I'm usually just sitting in my house. If my
here we go. Here we go.
Situation I shouldn't be in. I'm on my couch.
All right, welcome back, everyone, to the Sports Split Saturday Sports Countdown presented by JR's Sports Bar and Grill and Sunshine Heating and Air. Got a couple segments left in the show today. Again, you don't have to really talk about it. You can see the excitement at Auburn right now. Everybody trying to get in. It's not like the game's about to start and it's like free admission. It's just game day. Like, there's enough room to get you in there. I think they want to fill up as much as they can. But, I mean, everybody's so rabid about getting one of those arm bracelets, I think. And when they open the door, everybody just kind of overwent. Like, again, I hate to keep bringing in the politics side of things, but if you put law enforcement at a gate and there's a mob, and they just decide to all push, there's only – what do you expect 1 or 2, 3 guys to do, man?
Brett, I have long since said we need to build 2 walls. One of them down there at the border and one of them just around Auburn.
Luke, hey, let me segue over.
I'll just refrain from what I would say about Tuscaloosa.
Let me segue over, Luke. Luke, your thoughts on Alabama's basketball play the last couple of games? You know, they had a loss, midweek loss a couple of weeks ago, come back this past Saturday, get a big win on the road at Kentucky. That's one question for you. What is it about Alabama under Nate Oates that makes them able to go on the road to a place that's really, really tough, or even Auburn still currently in Rupp Arena, and win consistently over there in Kentucky, and then they look really strong midweek this week too? You know,
they have a confidence factor, and Nate Oates has instilled that. Like, even when they're shooting poorly, it's like, keep shooting. It's counterintuitive to what a lot of us knew as basketball, but when you take so many shots, it's just bananas how I was thinking about this. Mark Sears against Illinois had 0 points, 0, and he played just about the entire game. Yet he's still leading the league in scoring. That's a wild statistic, because a 0 usually gets you knocked down pretty good. Now, you know, you've had 19 games, but if you've only had 18 or 19 and one of them's a 0, that usually knocks you out. I mean, that just tells you how many points this team puts up. This team only put up 64 against Ole Miss. They still average almost 92 points a game. They just get their shots off. They don't get bothered. I told Brett this the other day. There was a great stat from the Oklahoma coach who said, yeah, they shoot, and then they get their own offensive rebound off the three-pointer, and then they shoot it again, and they might get their own offensive rebound because they get that offensive rebound 41% of the time from a three-point shot. That's a ridiculous number. That didn't happen against Ole Miss. What's weird, you know, everybody was panicking a little after Ole Miss, and Jimmy Stein and I both said, all right, this is basketball, so let's wait a second. I think this is going to be the anomaly. It looked like those guys were sort of glassy-eyed. It didn't look like something was right that night. Everybody was off at the same time. It just looked like either they were very exhausted, you know, this schedule will take a lot out of you, or maybe there was some kind of illness. There was a rumor of an illness. I never got any confirmation, but it looked like this didn't look like the team we've seen all year. Then they go to Kentucky and put up 103 or whatever it was. And then they come back and they blow Vanderbilt's doors off, shooting pretty well. So all of a sudden you're like, okay, maybe I can forgive the Ole Miss game. And I wish it hadn't happened because it's a loss in the league. But number one, Ole Miss isn't awful. And number two, if it means that it took a loss like that to get them back on the saddle or rearrange the way that they think about the season, then that can be good. Football's a little different, obviously, because you have as many games. But you never want to lose, but sometimes in basketball, a loss is not a bad thing.
No, I think pressure mounts the more you win in basketball. I think you look back at Kentucky. They were 30-0. The pressure got to them in the Final Four. They lost to a Wisconsin team that obviously was nowhere near as good as them. They were the best team in the country. They should have won the national championship, but they didn't. So you look at it from a standpoint as almost a pressure valve relief when you lose a game, and you can kind of go, all right, that's over with. I ain't got to worry about that anymore. So you move forward from that. So the more you win, of course, you want to go out there and you want to win them all. But the more you win, the more that pressure continues to build. And sometimes you got to relieve that pressure a little bit. I think we all realized in this conference, we're not going to run the table. The last time a team made it all the way through in the NCAA, I'll do a trivia question for you guys. Do you remember the last undefeated team to make it and win a national championship?
It's 76 Indiana.
76 Indiana. So that just tells you. And that was, I mean, Lord, Quinn Buckner on that team, I believe. So, you know, that it's been a long time. So you're not gonna get undefeated teams, and teams are better now. I mean, there's a lot more parity in college basketball. So
Justin had a good point. He said that Ole Miss game was on a Tuesday early after the 3-hour game with A&M, or 3.5-hour game with A&M on Saturday the previous time. And, you know, getting to A&M is not easier. And then you got to travel back. Then you got a short day. And Justin also said earlier, he said Alabama averages 30 free throws a game at home. Alabama shot 530 in 19 games. Auburn 337 in 18. I'd be willing to bet a vast majority of those came in that Texas A&M game, which was just as poor. Again, I can't point to any one thing, but I can just say a basketball in that game should never take that long. I don't care win, lose, or draw. That's not fun. That's not good for basketball. It lasted almost as long as the AFC playoff game. That's screwed up. It should never last that long. The referee should have a better handle on it. And what a great metaphor for how the authority figures, the referees, didn't have a handle on the game, this little game itself,
right.
Just like the NCAA doesn't have a handle on the game as a whole.
Well, you can, and again, it shows you that you can sometimes overregulate things to a point where it's just as bad as not enough rules. So you kind of have to have that happy medium in there because every time somebody brings the ball down the floor, you blow a whistle. Now everybody's just like, crap, that's become the game now. We're not watching a basketball game. We're just waiting on the next whistle for fact. And you get those games from time to time where you look up and there's been 58 daggum fouls called in a game. It's like, what in the world are we doing? So
y'all may see that tonight with Tennessee because
that's their game. That's their game.
Those boys are on the road, they can't shoot and they do hack.
Yeah. Well, all right, let's get to our final break of the program. Stay tuned. One final segment right after this.
I'm trying really hard to guess where Randy is by what's behind him.
I'm in Auburn.
Okay.
I'm at the new building in Auburn.
I was trying. I mean, in my head, I was going all through Alex City trying. I'm like, I ain't seen that play. Y'all put up something else.
Yeah, that all came up last week.
I don't have I got 5 boxes of furniture over here to my left that haven't been put together. And hell, y'all know I'm not putting them together. They'll sit in that box. I'll still be sitting in this one little chair in front of
you can make a box out of the boxes. Make a chair out of the box.
Hey, he's going to do like, hey, you come in, the first customer, like, hey, the first 5 customers get to put this furniture together.
Hey, so you ended up getting one of those big box stores, Luke, and Kevin used to talk about.
Hey, NFL, Luke.
Yeah.
Can Buffalo? I don't think anybody beat the officials when Kansas City's on the field.
I've
never seen anything like it in my life.
I hate people blaming officials for anything.
But they are, man.
Like what they do for Kansas City.
It is black magic.
They must get free barbecue or something.
You look up and Kansas City's got 91 yards of total offense and 3 turnovers, and they win the game by field goal. I mean, like, what in the world just happened?
It's the darndest thing I've ever seen.
It's the Taylor Swift, like, evil, wicked, like, vibe that goes on.
Well, on that interception return that the Commanders had last week, where that one guy knocked Jared Goff, his soul left his body and he's still floating somewhere along the mesosphere. It's just he knocked
no flag.
He knocked the entire 7th grade out of him. Whatever he learned in 7th grade is all gone.
And somebody breathed on Pat Mahomes. Like, did you see the vapor? It was cold, and the vapor hit Pat Mahomes in the face, and the referee said, "I guess that's a flag."
Yeah, that's an environmental flag right here. We're going to have to throw out the red flag.
15-yard penalty, halitosis on the Texans.
I've never seen anything like. And again, I know Chiefs fans got to be tired of it, but they also got to be like, yeah, this is kind of true. You can't
they are the worst 15-2 team in the history of NFL football. I don't even know how you do that. Good
and everybody's
Lord.
Like, how does he do it? Well, when nobody can do anything to you, you can wind up and fling it backwards and do all that. Nobody's ever going to. I mean, take
what
a chance.
What time's Alabama play today, Luke?
7:30, same time as
Auburn.
Oh, my gosh.
Wow.
Well, hell, Randy, the game will be over at 7:35 in Tuscaloosa because LSU's terrible.
Well, no, it'll be over at 7:35 a.m. because all these games have been lasting too long.
I love these SEC Saturday basketball days, though.
Yeah.
I can't sit there and watch the whole football game. No. But I can watch 3 or 4 basketball games start to finish.
Back in the day in the SEC, I remember at Indian Springs, you would have half your games at 3 o'clock, half your games at 6 o'clock.
Yeah.
And that's just – and
here we go. 5 seconds. 5 seconds.
Now we got one starting at 9:30, one starting at 13:30 Army time or something.
All right, 13:30. Welcome back, everyone, to the Saturday Sports Countdown presented by JR Sports Bar and Grill and Sunshine Heating and Air. Final segment here on the program. Again, we want to thank everybody. Luke, we talked about it coming into the show. This is our 20th anniversary of Sports Blitz coming up this summer and all of our programming. So we're looking forward to it. I want to thank John Kennedy and everybody. We're going to be having some plans coming up this summer to celebrate that as we head into football season, and you'll blink, it'll be time for that to happen. I mean, the month of January is almost already over. I mean, that's how fast time moves by. So, but we appreciate that. We appreciate everybody that watches and listens. And again, we want to encourage you to go out and subscribe to our YouTube channel. And we really appreciate all that. Here to finish up, obviously, Alabama at home tonight at the same time as Auburn. But the game, really everybody will be watching in the SEC is this Auburn-Tennessee game. At Tennessee's 6, Auburn's 1. Game day's there. Apparently, there's been people trampled and run over and lost wallets and all kind of junk going on. So down at Auburn, hopefully they got all that kind of reeled back in and have a fun night tonight. But Auburn and Alabama obviously have kind of set the bar in the SEC, and we're I wouldn't have it any other way. I think it's great that, like Randy said earlier, that the state's embraced college basketball to the level. I mean, not just Auburn and Alabama, but Samford and UAB and all these other schools that have great basketball. So it's a lot of fun.
Yeah,
so much fun. Y'all couldn't say anything.
Well, if you don't segue me in with sitting in between y'all two talking heads, then you can't expect me to say a word.
Brett, I was going to say something, but in my head I was like, I wonder how long Randy's going to sit there before he says something. I was like,
I hadn't heard that much silence on this show in 20 years. Justin said, y'all still look the same as you did 20 years ago.
Yeah,
we're ever been more of a full of crap comment than that one?
You ain't listen, Justin. That doesn't even make us happy that you say that. We know you're lying so bad. Randy still looks like that disheveled guy that we always send texts out about. That looks like him. I've gained 30 pounds. Brett's gained 40 pounds. We all just sit around and eat ho-hos now. Randy hadn't gained any weight like we have, but he does.
I will say that fishing picture.
Randy looks like somebody just saved him from 6 months off a deserted island. Every time he's been shaving with coconut hull. I mean,
we all look like we were trying to get in a game day at Neville Arena. the after effects. So.
Both teams playing, both teams tipping at the same time tonight. I asked Luke during the break what time Alabama tips. It's at 7:32. So it's, but I mentioned this, and I'd be interested to hear from all of you. I love this Saturday SEC basketball schedule. I can't sit there and watch an Ole Miss Arkansas football game. Can't do it, but I can watch an Ole Miss South Carolina basketball game for some reason. I mean, it just is interesting, and I really like the talking heads. I'd like y'all's opinion on that. But the SEC and the personalities that they put in place to get up there and to at least talk during the games and at half times, to me, keeps me entertained. And I think it's a really good group that seem to have fun together and do a really good job with it.
Yeah, that is a great point, because I used to say late 2000 teens, like this SEC had so many great personalities in there. I mean, even Gus Malzahn, who was super goofy, but it was a personality, and his offense was a little unique. You had Ed Orgeron, who couldn't be more Louisiana. I mean, if Louisiana were a person, it'd be Ed Orgeron, right? You had Jimbo Fisher there, who just
people kind of match.
Have you ever tried to listen to him on the radio with EJ Manuel? And EJ Manuel go, Coach, tell me about that story when, we had practice and you got that one player. Well, I got that one player, and what we did one time was it's like that old FedEx commercial about the guy who has to read the disclaimer real fast. Like there were so many good personalities. Of course, you had Nick Saban there. You had Dan Mullen, ringing the bell in the bell tower.
Dan Mullen's here.
Now all the personalities seem to be with with the basketball. I mean, you got John Calipari sort of falling off a cliff, it seems like, but Mark Pope is a sort of a rah-rah guy at Kentucky that people are falling for. Chris Jans at Mississippi State, I can tell you they love him. You know, Alabama's got sort of a more abrasive, New Yorkie, very cocky coach. Auburn's got a very cocky coach, but in a different way.
Hey, let me pause you right there so I can get out for TV and radio, and we'll stay on for a couple minutes here to finish up online. But again, I want to thank everybody for watching on TV and radio every Saturday morning. We'll be back with you next Saturday for another edition of Saturday Sports Countdown. We've enjoyed it. We hope you have. See you next time. All right, but keep going, Luke.
All right, thank y'all. I'm gonna jump off, Brett. I got to go get the kids.
All right,
y'all have a good day. Thanks for everybody for tuning in out there.
All right, man.
See you, buddy.
See you, buddy. But yeah, you're right. No, the person it really is. It's kind of shifted to the basketball side, which is kind of weird. So,
and also it's kind of basketball. Like Randy said, basketball is not an all-day affair. Look, I love that about football. I love that a football Saturday. I'm different from Randy. I'll sit there and watch them all day, but.
Oh, I will too. Now, Randy's different on that because he is not an over the top enthusiast about all sports like me and you are. Like,
and
you and I
can't sit still that long.
Well, you and I are the only two that'll watch NFL. Now, I have literally not watched a single second of an NBA game. I don't like it anymore. It's ruined. Now, I used to love the NBA. I did. I can't watch it anymore, man. It's unwatchable for me. And that's sad. I don't have anybody.
Everybody's got the same offense. You go out there, jack a three, and then if you hope your big man gets it, and then
it's just so uninteresting, man. I mean, I never thought that Major League Baseball would rival the NBA, but it does, man. I would probably rather watch a Major League Baseball game than I would watch any NBA team. You and I grew up in maybe the best era of the NBA, and I mean, the 80s and 90s. I don't know if it gets any better than that.
And I don't even know what you can do for the NBA. Like,
quit let them play basketball.
Well,
I mean, every time they're playing Pat Mahomes style basketball, breathe on somebody, call a foul.
Bigger? Do you raise the goal? I mean, it'd be kind of fun if they were like, all right, from now on the goal is 11 feet. Now, that screws up a lot of things,
right?
But I'm saying it's everybody dunks with so much. Wembanyama just puts it right in.
He looks like, I don't know where he was created. I mean, he looks like some kind of claymation thing that's out there. But let's see.
Elbows.
Yeah, Mr. ODR, I hope you're right. I hope we're coming in 25, 26. I hope we need to turn things around football-wise for sure. After four pretty tough years, we've been in a slump like none of us have ever seen in our lifetime. So the recruiting's there. A lot of things are there. Just got to start proving it on the field. Justin said, as bad as the college football championship game numbers were, it was still ESPN's most viewed programming, not NFL.
Well, because now did ESPN, maybe I don't remember, did ESPN have any of the playoff games?
I don't think so. No, okay. ESPN hadn't had any of the NFL playoff games.
So what you're saying is they
may have had the Monday night. I guess the one that they had that would be Monday Night Football would be considered. Yeah. So yeah, they would have had one of those.
Okay. Well, but ABC also.
But ABC had it too.
So that's, I mean, I'll just bet that the college football national championship, yes, I bet it outdrew a regular season Monday night game, probably. But it did. I bet it didn't outdraw.
The Super Bowl draws 100 million viewers. College football national championship game drew 22 million.
And it's down.
It's 23rd out of 27 all time.
He means programming that isn't NFL. Okay.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. Right. Well, but still, I think I was awakened to. All right, college football. We all love college football so much, especially down here. It's keen, but when you look at the Super Bowl versus a college football national championship game, and you see the difference there, like the best college football is like 36 million. It was the Texas USC game. It was like 35 or 36 million. That's the highest ever. A Super Bowl on average has 100 million. I mean, that is like stupid. So that's the discrepancy there. Hey, I did want to say this since we're still on. Did you see the Wall Street Journal article about the value of SEC teams that came out this week?
I saw one professor that was on Feinbaum that came up with some maybe. I mean, it sounded like the dumbest list that I've ever seen.
The Wall Street Journal. The Wall Street Journal released this. They did the top 100 football programs values. Here's the SEC right quick. Vanderbilt's 112 million, that's 66th in the country. But I don't think anybody's surprised by that. Missouri's only 168 million. Everybody's blown away by how low Missouri's football program is at 63rd. Mississippi State's 197 million at 58. Kentucky's 57th at 202 million. So forth and so on. You look up here, you get to Florida at number 14. So you get in top 15. Florida's 793 million. Auburn is 12th at 843 million. Alabama's 11th at 846 million. Oklahoma's got $881 million value at 10th. Texas A&M is 9th at $1 billion. Tennessee is 8th at $1.01 billion. LSU is 1.06 billion. Georgia 1.34 billion, and Texas is 1.89 billion, and Ohio State's number 1, and I think they're just shy of 2 billion.
Yeah,
that's unbelievable, man.
Well, that guy's numbers I also think were challenged by a lot of people. He sort of had his own formula for coming up with this, and I wouldn't have agreed with a lot of that. I mean, the Tennessee one seems was a little out of whack to me. There are just a few of them. I mean, it's very difficult, I guess, to even.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's just whatever. Where was A&M? A&M was 9th at $1 billion.
And see, A&M, I would challenge somebody to say, do you really think A&M is only the 9th? I mean, I just don't see that. I mean,
well, I mean, I guess everybody can have, but they published it, and that's just kind of what I'm going off of.
Yeah.
I'm not saying it's dead on accurate, but I mean, I will say this. Auburn and Alabama just shy of being worth $1 billion. I think the reason they're bringing this up is that if we're moving toward private equity firms, like Luke, if Vanderbilt's only valued at 112 million, like somebody out there, a mega rich person's like, I'd stroke a check for $112 million. And I'd buy Vanderbilt's football program. And then we can turn that thing around. I mean, I'm just saying that there's going to be, it looks like we're looking already at people investing in these programs.
Wasn't Stanford way up on Yale was way up? Like, yeah, no, I saw it was another part of that was the Ivy League schools like Harvard.
I know.
Harvard maybe their endowments or something. But it was something, and it was like all, just billions and billions. And I mean, that's another thing they could do. If Harvard said, hey, we want to be a good football team, they could make it happen.
For sure. All right, so I want to pull this up real quick, and it'll be the last thing we do before we get off. Did you see the opening week schedule?
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
Hey, I mean, Texas, Ohio State, I mean, that's a rematch of the semifinal game, and that's Arch Manning, and then you got LSU going to Clemson.
And that's probably the two, I would say, maybe the two quarterbacks that will be 1 and 2 in preseason list in terms of first or second team All-American with Klubnik and Nussmeier.
Do you like Nussmeier? I mean, am I missing something?
I think he's pretty good, but what the catch is, who else is going to be that guy?
Well,
Shedeur Sanders is gone.
Right.
Who else is it going to be? Nico Iamaleava? He hadn't really.
No, I don't think he's done very much either. All right, so you got Notre Dame at Carson Beck led Miami.
That's interesting, especially, because the rumor was Carson Beck was the one offering Jeremiah Smith the $4.5 million.
Oh, really?
That was the rumor. But it wouldn't shock me.
No, it wouldn't shock me at all. So, hey, I think y'all got an interesting matchup. Alabama, but I don't know. I mean, you can't go off what Florida State did last year. I mean, I think Norville. I mean, they had a collapse. Now that was terrible. They had a horrible season, no doubt about it. But they recruited pretty good. Norville,
they hit the transfer portal hard.
They did. So I mean, who knows what you're going? And it's the first game of the year,
and they're desperate.
And so that's kind of. Is it going to be in Tallahassee? Is that it's not a neutral site? Okay,
it's in Tallahassee, which also makes the Texas game even weirder. So
are you going to that game? You going to go to that game?
Yeah.
I was going to say Have you ever been to Florida State? Okay.
I've been to Tallahassee. I've never been
right.
to a game there, but
Right.
It's just ironic and weird that Texas has to play the defending national champ 2 years in a row on the road. They played Michigan this year, and then
crazy, isn't it? Yeah. Wow. Well, they beat Michigan, so
and obviously Michigan lost a lot, but Ohio State's about to lose a lot. So
right. Justin said Malzahn will be on top of his trick play game for that first game. Yeah, I mean that's another thing. Malzahn's offensive coordinator. So, will Bill Belichick be at North Carolina to coach that game against TCU? I guess is the question.
I mean, I think so. I hope so. He's made them.
There's just part of me thinks he has scammed the hell out of all this.
He might have.
Like the NFL comes calling now. Obviously, I got to say this since you're NFL with me. Can the Cowboys get it right hiring a coach? Did you see who they hired?
They did hire a coach?
Yes.
Who?
Let me pull it up. That tells you how bad it is. They hired Brian. They hired Brian Schottenheimer.
Oh my God!
I mean, could you go out and find somebody? All right, so Jerry Jones promotes Dallas offense coordinator Brian Schottenheimer as head coach. I mean, he can't get it right, dude. He can't get it right.
No, it'd be really tough to be a Dallas fan low these many years. Like you think the Giants, the Eagles, now the Commanders. I mean, they've all had their moments in the sun. And
right.
When was the last time the Cowboys made it to a NFC title game?
It wasn't Romo. Romo never made it.
Was it the 90s?
It have to be when Barry Switzer made it.
That was like
95. 95.
Good God. I mean, how do you not just back into one if you're the
Cowboys? That was 30 years ago. That's crazy.
That's pre-sports blitz. That's how long ago.
Damn. That is old. Well, I hate to say it. Until Jerry Jones gets out of the way, it's going to keep being screwed up. He can't.
But I mean, when you have,
I don't know why he wants to screw it up so bad. It's his team.
I mean,
so
if they ever do win it, it's going to be a party.
My God! So hey, it's like Sammy Coates being hired at Columbia High School.
Yeah.
I mean, bless his heart. I mean, I'm pulling for that, man. I don't want to see any program go 0-91. They haven't won a game in almost 10 years at Columbia High School. So I said this on the podcast: when they win a football game, it'll be like they won the state championship, the Super Bowl, and the national championship all in one. Those kids they've had 10 years of losing. That's unbelievable. Bless their hearts. I mean,
we got to do it like a remote from there or something.
I mean, kudos to Sammy Coates going, hey, I'll take that job. And I'd have no doubt in my mind somebody like him or a former player deciding that, hey, we're going to go up here and turn this thing around. We're going to win a game. They'll win a game eventually. I don't know if they'll
might have gone up there and trumped that thing and signed some executive orders. And we're getting an athletic director out showing the thing.
Justin said, have I ever heard of – yeah, I'd heard of Columbia. The problem is they're a 5A school. And the region they're in is brutal.
Who's in the region?
I'd have to pull it up, but I looked it up, and it's not easy. I want to say Jasper and those type teams are in it, and it's like, geez, man, it's rough. So,
you know what you need? Sammy Coates is going to have to do something. I mean, I'm not advocating you go up and hit the other guy, but he needs to do something to like intimidate the other coach and like get the players sort of behind that.
Right, right.
Like, not start a fight or anything, but just be like, you don't do that to my players, kind of thing.
Right. Yeah. Do something to kind of, hey, man, ain't nobody ever done that for us before. So, well, all right, brother. Well, enjoyed it. It's been great. So, he said Columbia High School just got a transfer quarterback in Cammy Soates.
Cammy Soates can play.
Cammy Soates is unbelievable, dude. This guy's unreal. All right, so we'll you gonna watch? You got anything going on this weekend?
I'm gonna go to the Bama game with Sela and another dad and his daughter, and we got Sela's basketball game here in about 2 hours, and then you know it's just funny how like a 7:30 tip screws up with Sela's basketball just screws up everything. I mean,
Oh,
there's
yeah.
nothing to get settled with. I mean, you go to her game and you come back here, and then you got to get right back on the road almost. So
Never stops, man. Never stops.
I saw another family last night, and I said, we got to go. It was like 10 o'clock, and we were at somebody's house. And I said, why are you leaving so early? And she said, well, my first son's got basketball. Then we got to take all the baseball stuff, take him straight to baseball. Then my other daughter's got gymnastics. And right after that, she's got a soccer lesson. And right after that, so-and-so. And I said, just quit talking. Go on. I got you. I hear you.
I'm getting upset over here that you're talking about all of it. All right, buddy. Hey, well, enjoy your day all over the place.
All right, buddy.
All right, see you, man. All right, buddy.